This morning, we are excited to have Anthony Galloway in for Georgia Fort. Anthony Galloway is a friend of the show. He is a published author. He's a contributor to local programs in Minneapolis, including the Kamau Kambui Circle and Cultural Learning's Underground Railroad program. Anthony, I know I massacred at least a couple of words in that. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. Could you give us the right title of that?
For Cultural Learning, and I'm one of the historians there. It's a program that started in the 70s with the brother Kamau Kambui, who wanted to teach about the Underground Railroad in a new way. And so it's a real 1970 style program. We get some history and background of the Underground Railroad, and then we go out at night and talk to characters from the Underground Railroad and get a sense of what it must have been like to be in a race to freedom. And the whole moral of it, the whole lesson of the program is tell us your story. I'll tell you something somebody went through to make sure you are here. So it's a really cool program.
Wow. No, it sounds amazing. And I wasn't too far off. Okay, so I thought I completely butchered the name because
now you're good.
As smart as I like to think I am, I have a problem with names. That said, listen, thank you for sitting in with us for Sister Fort, giving her an opportunity to get some rest because she is, you've known her for years. She is one of the hardest working people, independent journalists in the entire game. Before we move into all the stories, because we're pretty prolific at covering the news, but let's just take a second. Tell the audience, because I found you, or rather Georgia Fort introduced me to you. So tell us how you know Georgia.
Sure. So there's a couple of connections. One, in this area, the connections are small, right? So we're connected by family, but after the unrest, the major connection came when George Floyd was murdered and the unrest was happening all around. A group of folks from our Humanities Center, which tries to tell the stories of folks here in Minnesota, and the local public radio space, Ampers Radio, which covers a lot of different of the local stations, including KMOJ Radio, which is the Black station here in the Twin Cities area, wanted to cover the project. And so the Racial Reckoning Project was founded, and Georgia was leading the charge, coalescing a group of young women journalists of color around, and wanted to also have a show that chronicled not only the trial. And so we covered the trial, and we started a podcast called the Chauvin Trial. Sorry,
the Chauvin Trial. Yes.
Yep, the Chauvin trial. So Georgia was the in courtroom reporter, and the idea is that we wanted to archive what community was experiencing during that time. And so we got together to launch a podcast, Bearing Witness with Anthony and Georgia, where Georgia would bring in the news and the coverage from the day, and then we would check in with community about how they're doing, feeling throughout that time. And that has continued even to now. And that's the major connection that we got together. But then, she know my aunties, my cousins, everybody and mama in community.
So it's a deep and it's a wide connection. And and listen, man, I absolutely I want to pause because it's kind of weird. I like to brag about the people around me. And it gets a little weird when people are on screen with us. So now that Georgia's not here and it's just you and me today, I want to take a second and brag and say, I absolutely am aware that Georgia Fort is is the baddest independent journalist in the game. And the fact that we have her even merely hanging out with the Benjamin Dixon Show, I punch above my pay grade. I'll put it like that. So speak about the brilliance of our sister, and let's make her uncomfortable while she's at home watching with the family.
Oh, I can't. Oh, I'm so glad you brought this forward. So, first of all, there's a whole lot of reasons why I need to love on Georgia for a second. She not only brings folks together, she is the reporter that broke the story about the police chief in Duluth, who was a descendant of the woman who made the false accusations for the triple lynchings that happened in Duluth in the early 1900s. And so, and has been very, very vital to being able to carry some of those stories forward. She has kind of helped keep us in the news agencies in this area honest about the reporting throughout the whole Chauvin trial. Yeah. And so, she's a connector in many ways. and she also is a prolific photographer. So during the trial, when she was covering the unrest and all those things, not only did she have to dodge a couple of bottles on live TV and the rubber bullets and things like that, but she was carrying the coverage of what was happening in the front lines to really help us make sure that the narrative doesn't get written like it as it has in so many other ways and so many other times, that that there's this disorganized, rabble-rousing group, facing off with police narrative. She was able to make sure that we saw that there were real issues, real legitimate, the real organization on the ground, and was able to cover some of the unnecessary aggression by law enforcement in that space as well. So she helped keep that honest, let alone being on the scene to be able to cover Dante Wright's experience, Winston Smith, and all the other experiences happening here, and doing all of that. And doing all of that, sun up to sundown, all of that coverage. She was also taking photos. And so she has this wonderful, amazing exhibit of photos of the whole experience here, from the murder of George Floyd all the way through the unrest and all of that. And look, just in case that wasn't enough, her husband, who's a boxer, have started this nonprofit organization that helps, one, get folks access to training and health resources and stuff like that, but then also mentorship for young folks in this area. And they bought a building on the east side of St. Paul. So when I say that she don't stop and she's in 15 places at once, I kid you not. We were on a podcast and we were like, oh, wait, is Georgia coming? Because we saw her live broadcasting at the same time. And she was like, no, I built a crew. So Georgia's dope. Georgia is just ridiculously amazing, awesome, and she's a connector in chief. And I can't say enough about it.
Yeah. Man, I'm glad we broached that subject, because every morning when I say on the clock with Georgia Ford, I know that I'm going to get some magnificence, and then I know she brings structure, and she's going to say, stick around for more from the Benjamin Dixon Show, which is like literally, it's like Pavlov's dog right there. It's my cue, like ding, now it's time for me to step in. And so anyway, just shout out to Georgia and the family this morning. And then also shout out for connecting us, because you said that she's a connector in chief, and she connected us. And you and I, we've been on a fabulous journey of getting to know each other, particularly around these subjects that we cover, particularly around the intersections that we both understand really well, whether it be around history or patterns in history or religion and the intersection thereof. I want to begin this morning with kind of the desensitization that we have been experiencing in this country, and I want to unpack it on every level that comes across your mind. I want to begin with the story of at least 2 dead, including the suspect, and 13 others are injured in a shooting at a Memphis area Kroger. Now, again, that's at least 1 person is dead and was killed. 13 others are injured in Collierville, Tennessee. The shooter was later found dead, apparently, of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. This is just another day in the empire, right? This is just another day in a society that has become so desensitized to death that these types of stories no longer even make it into the mainstream, right? I remember a time, Anthony, where shootings, mass shootings, school shootings, whatever the case may be, caused the nation to stand still, and now it doesn't even register on our radar.
And I say this, having reeled, I remember at St. James AME Church in St. Paul, when the governor had to dispatch security and other guards and protections for AME churches in our area in response to Dylan Roof shooting of Mother Emanuel. And so, that was jarring, having to explain to my children why that extra protection needed to be there and that extra precaution. And we're in a city where we've had mosques and synagogues burned, both in northern Minnesota, in Duluth, and in our state. And so that's close to home. So seeing this again just brought me right back there. So there is the residual trauma that continues to go to be experienced, whether we feel it or not. So to contextualize the desensitization, there's a piece of it that hits your body, whether you are aware of it or not, even though you can't necessarily point to it, even though the patterns of response right, is no longer surprising. It used to be that it was jarring because it was surprising, and we could be conscious of that in our entire bodies. What I want to caution us to is to from the thought that this isn't continuing to affect our bodies, even though consciously we might not be reacting to it in the surprise way of when they first happened. So we got to still be aware of how it is affecting us in the ways that we can't see.
Wow. Yeah, no. So even in the thought of us being desensitized, you're saying that it's still hitting us. It's still causing and it's still adding to our catalog of trauma.
Right. There's that front piece of desensitization, meaning that the autonomic responses that happen in the front part of it. And this isn't, the work of Resmaa Menakem and several other kind of healers and folks who look at somatic body work and body trauma can talk about this much more eloquently than me. But the idea that the front side of it, the conscious front side of it, is where we are seeing some desensitization, but our bodies are still going to necessarily feel it. And there's a pattern response, right? We now have had to, and this is part of it too, had to figure out a way to not be in that jar, fight or flight as these happen so often. The other piece that I think is important here, right, is that we're not addressing root causes. And so if we aren't changing the conditions for which we don't know all the details here yet, but the vast majority of mass shootings are happening by white males between certain age ranges. And so, and we can count on that. And so there's a lack of wanting to address root cause spaces, let alone the proliferation. There are places across the world that just do not have this problem, but we're not looking to them for solutions.
That's right. We coddle, and at the risk of getting off the line in that tapestry that I see there, we coddle white supremacy to the point of allowing it to devastate our communities. Now, this is not to say that there's no problems inside, because in a minute, I'm trying to get my good friend Jamal Green to come on and talk about what the hell is going on in Chicago, right? But as Black people, we have no need for someone to point to us and say, what about Black on Black crime, when we have yet to, as a nation, ever do anything but coddle white on white crime to the point where we allow this to go. And we don't, not only, Anthony, do we not address the underlying causes, we protect. And when I say we, I mean the police, I mean our justice system, I mean our media. They protect these monsters who are committing these crimes, these murders, and we are so far from anything remotely like changing the underlying problem when we're actively protecting them.
There's when you talk about the desensitization, there's the reaction, and it's just dawning on me that your question needs to go beyond just the reaction to the shooting itself. What it takes to get to the point of pulling the trigger and taking life. This is a level of desensitization that I think warrants us to really start to think about. And it takes getting to a place to be able to do that action, right? Or to be able to separate myself enough where the human toll doesn't register in body. And so regardless of who the identity of the shooter or the shooters, whether it's the individual crime, and we know, to your point, right, most crime happens within racialized groupings. And so the idea of Black on Black crime is just, there has to be another project there going on because of what you said, or let alone white on white crime or white on everybody else crime that we're not talking about. But what are we what are we doing to get to that root space that says that has us react to or respond to the consequence of taking life, right? The ability to get to the place where taking life is something that I can even do. And that's a deep conversation. I work in a space where there are many folks who are having conversations, in particular with young folks, and we find that when folks have a real connection to that personhood, right, it's a lot harder to pull the trigger, right? And I've had youth who have been playing with guns or doing things that they're just being knuckleheads for, where which the consequences find them. And they're broken. They're torn apart by it, right? And as long as there's that, you're torn apart by it, there's some place to go. But we are also finding that folks are engaging in things where they're not torn apart by it. They're somehow being able to successfully make this buffer that separates. And this is the desensitization conversation that I think is really relevant and important, not just in the mass shootings arena, but also in community arenas.
Right. And what actually leads up to those mass shootings and the type of desensitization that goes into that. Listen, let's dovetail this in, obviously, with COVID-19, right? Right. If we expand the conversation to how we are collectively reacting to nearly 700,000 people dying in this country alone from COVID-19. And we're faced with the ongoing spectacle of opposition to the vaccine. Not only the spectacle, but the political ramifications of governors across this country, DeSantis, Abbott, Reeves in Mississippi, and Kemp here in Georgia. We have a lot going on. And in the backdrop of it, we have this almost unprecedented amount of death. We've surpassed the Spanish flu in terms of death of 1918. We've advanced in technology, Anthony, but we've regressed in terms of common sense, such that now we had the technology to overcome this with as minimal death as possible. But now we're living where I believe the people or the leaders have hardened their hearts, and we're seeing the maximum amount of death. See if you can weave that into the tapestry this morning.
So, one of the things that we see as a trend all the way across, and again, I think I said this on a previous show, a cousin of mine is a traveling COVID nurse and was pleading on a family reunion call with all these folks on the call, and some of the folks in there who are resistant to getting vaccinated or even doing protocols alone, saying, this is just, this is hyped up, right? Many of us, of course, in that call, we're speaking from communities where many of the folks around us have been making decisions to get vaccinated and to socially distance and things like that. And so we're kind of buffered from direct contact or direct connection to the folks who are really in the trenches on this. This is a problem here in Minnesota. We're on our track to get to 76% vaccination rate in the state. And still trying to work hard to increase that. So there are folks in the state who just don't see or aren't connected to the real effects that this is doing beyond that number that people keep throwing out, which seems alone that should be an issue, should be jarring for us. But when you don't see it on a day-to-day basis, there is a way to be able to start distancing ourselves. And if I've been experiencing trauma or hardship or all those things, taking that easy button to be able to distance myself and get out of sight of mind can be very intoxicating. But when she was on that call, she said that day she had wheeled a wife into her husband's room socially distantly, who was also on a ventilator, to say goodbye. And that's the experience that she's saying having on a day-to-day basis, right? And then that the wife would later on go to lose her life as well. So there are those of us who are seeing the actual effects real time, nurses and folks who are on the front line who are pleading with folks to say, take this seriously. And so there is an element of this where if I can be disconnected from, for whatever reason, whether I'm fed up, I've got enough on my plate, or I just choosing the easy button, whatever that is, not having to look this in the face can cause me to harden the heart or to desensitize in a way to the real everyday effects. If you're not affected, if you ain't getting mud and stuff on your own clothes, you might not think as much about trying to figure out what's causing the mud in the first place.
Brother Anthony, listen, how did you say it? Every time we get into conversations, we get into the gut bucket of philosophical
existential crisis.
We're going to dig more into these existential crises throughout this first hour of On the Clock and the Benjamin Dixon Show. I want to pivot really quickly to a gubernatorial race here in the state of Georgia that features, someone who he is Vernon Jones. I don't have the words to describe this brother, but he is a brother. And he has cast his lot with not only the Republican Party, because I want to be clear, I know some pretty decent, distinguished black Republicans. This has nothing to do with political affiliation. It has everything to do with ideological alliances. And Vernon Jones has been one of those individuals who's happily aligned himself with white supremacy. In this first clip we're going to listen to, it's of him saying that if he becomes governor of Georgia, that he is going to outright ban abortions. Now, on the surface, it seems pretty straightforward to those of us who have come to terms and arguments with ourselves about the issue of pro-choice versus pro-life. But I want us to really listen to the context of what this man is saying and unpack it. Let's run that clip.
If you win and you're the governor of Georgia, are you going to ban abortion in that state?
If when I win, I'm becoming the governor of Georgia, we're going to do a bill that's an outright ban, something similar to what they passed in Texas, because the Texas law is different, very different from the Georgia law in many regards. And so I'm coming forth as part of my legislative package with pro-life legislation that would outright ban abortions. We're not going to get into 5 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, because guess what? Who in the hell can determine whether 4 weeks is more pro-life than 6 weeks, than 8 weeks?
I agree
Either
with
you're
that.
pregnant or you're not.
I
Either
agree.
you're for abortions or you're not.
Yes, that's
Make
right.
up your mind. Me,
Yeah.
ban it all right, all
Okay.
out together.
So if you
Life starts at
bring...
conception.
Anthony, we've broached this conversation before, so I just want to yield to you. What are your thoughts?
So first and foremost, a lot of these conversations have a tunneling effect where they take off on the sides of it other options and ways of thinking. So when I force you into a dichotomy or a binary that says this or that, I get dubious right away, because we can be more complex than that, right? So that's the first thing that's coming into my mind, because you can be absolutely pro-life while at the same time saying that you have no right to determine what somebody else does with their body, right? Yeah. And this is a fundamental issue that folks are trying to steer away from in the political talking points, right? Let alone going back to the root causes for all these things. There's a couple of problems here that rise to me from outright, right? Because the conversation about pro-life often ignores stages. So pro-life here, okay, great. So we're going to do that. If you pass that, then there should also be in your legislative package any bans, or should also be bans on death penalty or extrajudicial police killing. Or any of the other things that take life. Where are the packages around there for overdose, which is ramping not just Atlanta, but so many or Georgia, but so many states around the opioid epidemic. What about the missing and murdered Indigenous women and women of color? Like, if these aren't parts of the pro-life conversation, then this isn't really about the issue as hand, let alone the fact that you're trying to control what somebody can or can't do with their body. If we're going to the biblical philosophical space, right? Controlling whether or not you can or cannot sin does not salvation make.
Oh,
because you take away the choice itself to make the decision that God is calling. So if you're using that hermeneutic, that logic, so those are some of the issues that come up for me right away.
Man, I'm going to save some of this for the next block. We got a whole lot more to go and a lot more to cover, but I got to reply to what you had to say right there. But to continue on, this is part 2 of Vernon Jones. This is him now. Why is there always only one small step, if any step at all, between the control of women's bodies and just outright self-hatred if you're a black person, and outright white supremacy? Because take a listen to how this man thinks about blackness and how he would say what he's getting ready to say here. Run the clip, Dwayne.
Tell us about being black and conservative. Why is it so scary to liberals?
I think it's scary to liberals, period, for black people just to think independently. They can be conservative, they can be liberal. I experienced it when I was a Democrat and I came out for President Trump. The Democrats lost their mind because I decided to put my country before my party. Clearly, if you had to choose between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, that's a no-brainer, no pun intended to Joe Biden. I was attacked, just like Ron Paul, by Black Lives Matter and Antifa, young black and whites. You have white liberals who are getting whites, and they control the media like CNN. We call it Controlling Negroes Network. They only want to put blacks on there that would carry a certain narrative to attack other blacks, to keep blacks on the plantation.
Now, listen, I want to be clear. CNN has attacked me personally. In the aftermath of breaking the Michael Bloomberg story, they put somebody on there that came after me personally. So I don't particularly have any fondness for CNN, nor I don't have a lot of fondness for Joe Biden. I want to be clear there because we're going to talk about what's happening at the border with our Haitian brothers and sisters. So not that it's necessary for me to give these caveats, but Vernon Jones, matter of fact, I digress. Brother Galloway.
Well, just again, part of, and I think, folks, we need to understand this in this world. Part of our talking points in media training universe will have us craft, and marketing universe will have us craft talking points that, again, set up a reality that doesn't necessarily need to be true. So he does in the first part, sets up a reality that says that somehow there is this, there's like this 50-50 notion in community around representation. So he talks about being attacked for his views, and it somehow has to be being on a plantation or controlling narrative. And it can't possibly be that you're being attacked for your stance on politically, which is unpopular amongst an entire community. And in doing so, the racial project that happens there is I now can then take an individual voice and have it speak for a much larger community than it actually represents that particular viewpoint. So these are some of the tactics that are used. And even listening to that, there's a bunch of talking points. He brings up Antifa, which itself is not a thing in the way that it's being put in conservative circles, and is not a thing in terms of population or even engagement with Black communities. When you talk about being attacked by Black Lives Matter, that just shows immediately that there's a very clear ununderstanding or misunderstanding of what Black Lives Matter even is in the first place, right? And I'm being attacked because of who I am, not because of my viewpoints, is an absolute tactic of white supremacist racial discourse. So there's a whole lot of things in there that try to make a reality that isn't necessarily true. There are other reasons, there are other thoughts in this space at the same time, and that's the challenging part, right? And I don't need to defend any other news network or anything like that. But I mean, let your talking points carry a whole understanding. If I start boxing my talking points into this little box here, and I'm just making sure I'm in the camera here. If I start boxing my talking points to depend on this little box here, that is the kind of marketing boxing that a lot of these talking points happen with, and then I don't have to worry about the context outside, let alone being accountable to my own viewpoints and public policy thought processes. The only other thing I want to say here is that we keep making this about women's bodies, right? Let there be legislation that controls men's bodies, right? I'm going to put something forward, right? So vasectomies are reversible. So if you want to deal with pregnancy, what about an idea in the equation that puts on the table that says put a vasectomy in place and then reverse it when folks are old enough to make some solid decisions? That will never pass. The motion is on the floor. All the men who would happily sign up for a free vasectomy, so that we can actively do what's in the best interest for life. If you're pro-life, then you should be pro-vasectomy. Anyway, the only thing is I'm not doing it to suggest a particular tactic, but I'm doing it to just say that, to talk about the imbalance and the preposterity of trying to put stuff in place to control women's bodies, especially when it's not women who are putting it forward.
Yes, thank you for not suggesting it. I am suggesting pro-vasectomies for everyone. Free, you get a vasectomy, you get a vasectomy. Listen, we're out of time. We've been on the clock. Please stick around for more on the Benjamin Dixon Show. I learned that from Georgia.
Something to buy, yeah. Set the potato, sunlight that always stays, dinner by the waterway. It's that sweet life. Raise your cross. Made some dude crack a smile. He asked if I could stay a while. I'm living that high life. Time to catch a flight, but you can make me go. Unlocking all the memories of my new home. Ventilated echoes playing to and fro, back and forth, yeah. Caught some kids dancing in the alleyway. Crazy how the melodies began to play, yeah. Tell me how you feel it when you hear the lyric, yeah. My heart's in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. I left my heart in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. Shopping the girl. I brought a girl on my Vespa. She said I already told ya, yeah, yeah. I never dated a black guy. I said you're brown yourself. Let me offer help. Come on inside. Where everybody knows your name, everybody knows your name. Time to catch a flight, but you can make me go. Unlocking all the memories of my new home. Ventilated echoes playing to and fro, back and forth, yeah. Caught some kids dancing in the alleyway. Crazy how the melodies began to play, yeah. Tell me how you feel it when you hear the lyric, yeah. My heart's in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. I left my heart in Stockholm. Now I never wanna go home. Separate again. Sunlight that always stays in and by the waterway. It's that sweet life, sweet life, sweet life. I never wanna go home, go home. I'm living in Stockholm, Stockholm. I never wanna go home, go home. Living in Stockholm, Stockholm. I never wanna go home, go home. I'm living in Stockholm, Stockholm. Yeah. Shut up, I get the bed, the bed. We get good, we get good, 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 good. Good, 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 good.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome back. It is Friday, September 24th, 2021. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am joined, flanked to the left and to the right by my brothers from other mothers, none other than DJ Exclusive and brother Anthony Galloway. Gentlemen, how goes the day?
I can't hear Anthony. Good morning, y'all.
That was my bad. Great with that music that was playing. As long as we've been doing this and I'm still muting myself.
You know what? It doesn't, I'm laughing because it doesn't matter what year it is. It doesn't matter how advanced we are with technology. Like, we pulling off stuff on the internet that other people just dream about doing, and we still forget to unmute ourselves in Zoom. How about that? DJ Exclusive, how you doing, man?
I'm tired, boss. He said he tired, boss. Tired is understatement. Look, me and Rebecca were texting this morning back and forth like, oh, girl, I'm trying to pull it together.
I got the message from Rebecca. Shout out to Rebecca Azor. She won't be joining us for Like It or Not this morning, but we're excited to be joined by our brother Drew Comments. We've been playing a lot of his clips, and Dwayne, I don't know if you have one of his clips handy so that we can let the people know who's getting ready to come on. But this is a young brother. He's not a doctor. He's not a scientist. But Brother Galloway, you know when people say go do your research over the vaccine, well, I mean, he went and did his research, and he put out a couple of videos, and they have gone viral over and over and over again because, you know, sometimes you just need to hear the same message, but from somebody who either looks like you, well, not me, because he's like, this brother at least 6'7", 6'8", but who looks like you and in a message and in a voice that you can understand. So that brother's coming to join us at the 9:25 hour. Let's dig in. Dwayne, I want to take a hard shift here and pause. And fellas, I know we do a lot of laughing here. And I know we do a lot of but this next story is a little bit more heavy. And I wanted to ease our way into it this morning because of the video that we are going to watch is gut-wrenching. It's a video of the mother of the victim who was identified, the young black man, Jelani Day, who was identified. His body was identified from earlier this month. He had been missing. And in the backdrop of all of these, of the young woman who was also missing and murdered, and we found out more about Sister Petito this week, in the backdrop, we've seen the stories of so many black people who have been missing. And have been missing for extended periods of time. And we don't get the kind of coverage that is necessary to even bring attention to the missing black people around this country. That said, one of the missing cases has ended in tragedy. And the family of Jelani Day is mourning this morning as the LaSalle County, Illinois coroner has identified the remains of their loved one. This next clip is triggering, and I do want to make sure that we give you plenty of time to turn away or take a step away because of how gut-wrenching it is. However, the mother wanted to be heard, and so we wanted to share her voice this morning as the other media outlets are sharing. Here's the voice of Day's mother, Carmen Bolden Day, as she speaks out about her son.
This is Jelani Day. He was a 25-year-old graduate student at Illinois State University. He was last seen alive on surveillance video on the morning of August the 24th. Just over an hour ago, police identified a body found in a nearby river as that of Jelani Day.
The last time Jelani's family talked to him was on August 23rd. The 25-year-old graduate student was last seen at school and at a dispensary in Bloomington, Illinois. That was August 24th. He was officially declared missing on August 25th. The Peru, Illinois Police Department pulled an unidentified body from the Illinois River September 4th. And it took nearly 3 weeks for examiners to identify the body as Jelani Day.
We have been in touch with Jelani's family, and we are told that his mother, Carmen, is, quote, inconsolable. Carmen had been complaining about the lack of resources allotted to her son's case for days.
I need to know where my son is. I want to find my son. I need them to use all the resources that I just watched them make available to Gabby Petito and her family.
It saddens me that it takes this much, to get, people's story out, like my brother or like anyone else. We shouldn't have to depend on other stories or other cases to push our own story. And we just want answers just like anyone else. I think, or my brother or everyone else's brother or father, siblings, whoever they may be, they deserve the same attention.
Now, that second voice was that of Roger Cowley Robinson. His brother, his 24-year-old brother, who is a geologist, Daniel Robinson, has been missing for 3 months as well. And I appreciate the way that he put it. We shouldn't have to depend on other stories or other cases to push our own story. And I want to thank our producer, David, because he did everything he could to make sure that the parts that were going to be the most triggering were cut out. So I appreciate that. Brother and Galloway and James, like, what is it? How is it that we're just so easily dismissed? And I'm grateful now, right? But it should not have taken this for attention to be brought to the stories of our missing Black people. Brother Galloway.
We have this moment now where we see this egregious and in front of us with the Petito case in this one. Absolutely. Again, full context, though, across the United States, 506 missing and murdered Indigenous women in the year 2020. And we're on track to surpass that again this year. So yes, we are seeing this discrepancy here played out in front of us, and so we can talk about it and discuss it and point to it. But we got to understand that the disparity has been there for a long time. This isn't a new thing for those who might see this as a new thing, and that as much as we are seeing this egregiousness happen here, our Indigenous brothers and sisters have been facing missing and murdered Indian women for years. One out of 7 women will face some kind of sexual violence in the Native communities. 4 out of 5. And so I want to just give that context in this that this is egregious. Now, this doesn't take away from any of that, but to know that we have a deep and systemic problem that we haven't been facing for a while. That said, what makes this heart-wrenching, and again, here in St. Paul, we're dealing with 4 missing individuals who were just found shot and murdered in Wisconsin that were from here in the Twin Cities. And dealing with that. And so there's some close to homeness still happening. But again, I think it one of the things that it can't be stressed is the feeling. The mothers call for the same amount of resources. One of the things that we don't often talk about is that the families feel the lack of resources for finding their children. I mean, there are massive searches that happen with whole communities, for some of us, depending on how you look. And for others, mothers have to go online and plead for resources because they're just not feeling the same efforts to search. And one of the things that we also find in one of our powerful leaders, Chantel Allen, who's a school board member, an on-the-ground activist and protest leader here in the Twin Cities, and she's an amazing champion and powerful warrior for the community. Her son went missing for a while, and we had to marshal a community response ourselves in ways that we just could not get folks to buy in. There were all these excuses that she received about, well, maybe it's this, or maybe they just this, or he was at a dispensary, maybe it has something to do with something nefarious. And so there's just not that get off your behind effort that we see in other experiences.
And
James,
Anthony is absolutely right. Yeah. And the amount of resources that were dedicated to Petito's case was astronomical compared to the amount of response and the resources that were dedicated to Jelani's case as well, too. So it's just amazing to see that. And I remember when she first went missing, I mean, every channel, everywhere, local news, national news, that's all we heard about. I didn't know about Jelani until I saw the story. It came across the news feed yesterday.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That's right. Same for me. I can't pretend in front as if I knew about this story before anybody else did. In fact, my producer had to bring it to my attention.
Yeah.
Because, and I think this speaks to, here's a specific question I'd like to ask both of you. Why is it, I know it's going to be pretty obvious, but I have to ask it. Why is it that the media can't conjure up enough sympathy for Black and brown and indigenous people as they can for white folks when they go missing?
So a couple of... Well, go ahead, Brother James.
I was going to say, they try to juxtapose it with Petito's case because she was, I guess, a YouTube celebrity. I guess that garnered her more respect and more attention as a human being. Yeah, I guess that's what that means. Yeah. So I guess she gets some more coverage because she's
more popular.
Over 1 million followers on YouTube. I mean, that the way of our world today.
Yeah, the crowdsourcing effect of that. I guess, that's something to think about, just in the grand scheme of it. If you've got a great following, it seems like more folks will care. Which is problematic. There's a couple of markers of this in our society that I think are wager an answer to your question. One, we almost lost Serena Williams, and it broke forward the understanding that even in our medical spaces, pain, the registering of pain on Black faces is inconsistent with our white peers, so much so that it causes an increase in mortality amongst pregnant women for that reason, and it's well documented. And so we've got that in the space. Also, let's take a look, since we were talking about mass shootings in the beginning of the day, in the Colorado shooting. He's described as a troubled young man, yet or as a troubled young boy, and yet Tamir Rice is called a troubled young man at 12 years old. And so I think there are some markers in our society that we see young Black children as older than they are, and we don't see them as the babies that they are in community in the same way that we think about them, in the way that this mother was talking about. And so I think there are some very clear markers and indicators for why we are less sensitive. Why? And here's the historical connection that I'm getting to. Let me just get to the point, right? A lot of our lynchings and our laws, particularly around incarceration, were in service to protecting the quote unquote sanctity of white women. And so we see a carrying over of that because white women's disappearances and assaults seem to assault the society's minds in ways that we can't convince society to be assaulted by when it's Black and brown faces. Emmett Till, lynchings in northern Minnesota. I mean, come on.
Right.
Man, look here. I knew somebody was going to throw our little brother Emmett Till in there, and you already did Tamir Rice and James. You remember the mass shooting here recently, the Atlanta spa shootings. They said that young white man had a bad day.
Day.
But Tamir Rice, I'm pretty sure Emmett Till had a bad day too. And it's just funny how they flip it on his head and they snatch from us our humanity to have even not only we can't afford to have a bad day as marginalized people, we can't even afford to play in the park. Well, let's lift the mood. It's Friday. I refuse to go into the weekend ready for a revolution, even though at sundry times it may be called for. Let's laugh or at least discuss some absurdity. It may not be funny, but we do a daily dose of evangelicals. Now, we're not going to put the lower third up, but we just want to talk about some of these evangelical pastors who are really representing themselves to be out here in the name of God. And the funny thing about it is, Brother Galloway, is we've been discussing it, and James and Rebecca, we've been covering it pretty consistently. These guys aren't doing too well. They're dropping dead. Right? These conservative radio hosts are dropping dead. Some pastors are dropping dead. They're presiding over all kinds of funerals because, they're running up against COVID-19 in their sermons, amongst a lot of other things. I want to begin with a clip of an evangelical. It's a so-called firefighter prophet, Mark Taylor, who says that Christians who get vaccinated are violating God's command, and accuses Robert Jeffress, who himself is a right-winger, of promoting the, quote, Illuminati, cabal, New World Order agenda by encouraging people to get vaccinated. Now, I want to be sure Robert Jeffress is a person that I've written about, and he is so far to the right that he himself is a problem, but he is not radically right enough for this prophet. Let's take a look at the clip.
What is going on with the jabs right now? We've all done our research right now, okay? We've all done our research. We all know the chemicals, the different things that are in there that are designed to literally take life away from people. Your body and my body are the temple of the Holy Spirit, right? So let's flip over one more here to 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20. Okay, so I'm going to read this real quick. And it says, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your body." Right?
Right.
When you take the jab, you are not honoring God's temple.
No.
You are corrupting it.
Correct.
What does it mean to defile the temple of God? It means to corrupt or pollute it. You are corrupting or polluting your body with chemicals, with toxins, with all these different things designed from the New World Order to literally kill off mankind through depopulation.
So does that include Tylenol? That's a chemical? Ibuprofen, that's a chemical. Alcohol, coffee is a chemical. Water, H2O, I guess technically it's a chemical.
Does it include hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin?
Ivermectin, that's chemical.
Or space. All right, Brother Galloway, look like you can scarcely contain yourself. The floor is yours.
Oh no, I'm containing myself, Brother James. You said it. You made exactly the point that was coming in, and again, in all of the space, I need to offer a few other ways of thinking about and being in the world. I consider myself evangelical only in the terms of the fact that I believe in evangelizing folks to godly wisdom. But the cultural term and identity focus that has become what it is in the United States, you can see in clear has some problems with it because they're making it's a cultural designation, not a spiritual designation, and especially in the context of here, and let alone taking biblical text and not have it speak to itself within its context and attempt to apply it for that cultural purpose is extremely problematic. That's the first.
All of that was, folks. All of that was the preamble to something brilliant this man is getting ready to say. Go ahead, brother. I hear you loud and clear.
So I can't contain the words because the problem that we've had so many ways. It's easy for me to come in there and throw a grenade of BS into a room and walk away, and leave it to folks who have to think about actual nuance and thought and context and reality in order to talk about that. Meanwhile, I have to contain the rage that rises in me because we have people who are dying. If you want to call yourself having a Christian principle and being on the side of that, then where is your preservation and life that you're going to talk about in one part of your mouth and legislation, but then turn around and start advocating for continued death towards the order of 1 million people dying, which we will reach if we continue going. This is the rage that I'm trying to contain. So that's what you see on my face right there.
Oh, but feel free. I don't. Far be it from me to stand in the rage in the way of a rage of a righteous black man, because.
I'm not going to go to the tune because there are disrespectful thoughts that are coming in that I need to have in conversation with my God.
Right.
And so that is that in and of itself is the difference in reactions. And it's a thing that we don't get credit enough for as folks in communities of color. We care enough about this nation that we stay engaged in a way that still continues to try to change and make something better in the face of wanton ridiculousness like this. And I'm going to keep hold to that moral compass that my grandmothers have gave me to act right and not act a fool. So I'm not going to cross that line, but I need to point out that in this space, what is the intent? What is the outcome? What is the fruit? Sorry, y'all done asked the pastor. James, in the book of James, it says there are two types of wisdom. There's the wisdom that bears fruit, and then there's the wisdom that bears folly and is demonic. If you're going to ask the question in this, what kind of wisdom are we looking at here? This is not wisdom that's going to bear fruit. This is not wisdom that's for the purpose of bearing fruit or preserving life. So what kind of wisdom are we actually talking about here?
That's the thing for me, Brother Galloway. I have so many more clips and Brother James, but we're coming up at the end of the hour. And Brother Galloway, thank you so much for joining us for this entire first hour. Before I give some thoughts and then I give you the last word and then DJ Exclusive, it's your world. I am exceedingly disappointed with all of these people, these So to make it simple and to make it plain, I subscribe to the same thing you do, brother. And I oftentimes just simply allow myself to go into the rage. And so thank you for being here and walking circumspectly, because these fools are about to destroy humanity. These people who claim to come in the name of the Lord, they about to get us killed. And they have already gotten 700,000 people killed with the level of cavalierness and disrespect, casual disrespect, that betrays any idea of them being pro-life. Here's the thing, Brother Galloway. I hate to set you up with such a question before you get the last word, but I think all of these men are false prophets. That's just my call as a Sunday school dropout, as Brother Mac would say. Don't you think it's about time for these? How can these people think that they could come in the name of the Lord and not be held accountable for all their lies? You get the last word.
Yeah, okay. I got you, man. So again, and I needed to take that time, and I thank you for giving me that time to just kind of realign myself with the Creator here, so that I can speak in that space, as opposed to another. And so when we think about what the false ways in which we perpetuate, I am a false prophet when I perpetuate for my son toxic masculinity. I am a false prophet when I perpetuate for my daughter a dependency on male needs rather than her own. I am also a false prophet when I take biblical scripture and to suit my own needs rather than the needs of the teachings of my Lord and Savior in that context, right? So I'm just saying, being from a Christian context, if there's similar ways to think about this in other religious contexts, whether you're Jewish or Muslim or whatever, it comes in there. And so that idea around false prophet, I think, is really poignant in a media landscape where we can have hits that and views that drive and give us a platform. And so I think that's a very important thing to think about. What falsities may I be perpetuating, either intentionally or unintentionally, is a very good question to ask the self to better the self. The other piece that you bring forward, that I think is, because if we're going to talk about self-work, how do I deal with me, right? I look in the mirror, Michael said it best, dealing with the man in the mirror, the person in the mirror, right?
That's right. That's right.
Is what I may absolutely believe that all the things that was said in that clip, he may absolutely believe that. But to ask yourself the question, so then what fruit does that bear in the greater context, is also an important question to check in with the self for. Because when you think about the things that actually bear fruit, that can tell you a lot about whether or not you may intentionally or unintentionally be bearing false witness. And so I think that is a good question to take into the weekend for some self-work.
Hey, man. I love it. Brother Anthony Galloway, way to turn that question back for us to reflect in the mirror. How, in what ways are we ourselves fulfilling some type of false prophecy or serving in the role of the oppressor? Let's look in the mirror. The man or the woman or the non-gender conforming individual in the mirror. Brother, how can people get up with you and get some more of these philosophical ruminations?
So I'm on the ministerial staff under Elder Stacy Smith, who's the judicatory head of the AME Church in this area in the 4th Episcopal District. So you can go to stjamesstp.org and see not just me, but there are some powerful women of God who tell you how to think about yourself. You can also go to racialreckoningmn.org and look at the coverage of this of the racial reckoning happening on the ground in Minnesota, where there are many different faith communities who are asking very similar questions.
In other words, not all of us are out here representing in the manner in which we see a lot of these people on television. I won't label them all evangelicals because there's so many more. Brother Anthony Galloway, thank you so much, man. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for spending this Friday with us. DJ Exclusive, the floor is yours, man. Help us with some ministry of music, and we'll be back with Like It or Not after this.
Stop that. Stop that.
Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, y'all. We got more coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon Show. There we go. Anyway, y'all stay tuned, man. Good morning again. Y'all stay tuned. We got more coming up next. And we got this is some season 2 music. You're listening to right now. So y'all stay tuned.
Got let out the streets, locked in a cage. I'ma let out the. Wake up, get out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, y'all. Roller Dragon. Good morning, Courtney. Good morning. Starshine. Good morning, Lavon. Chuck Diesel, what's going on, brother Lily? Good morning. Violet. Good morning. Absolute. Good morning.
If you wanna touch my please use caution. Beg, please get on your knees. Came from the jungle, up in the trees. I got a few tricks up in the sleeve.
TFZ Nat A, good morning. On and on it goes. Brandon Rubber, good morning, y'all. Alicia, good morning. Jeremiah, Kareem, good morning. Esther Roachin, Brenda Courtney, Starshine, good morning, y'all. On and on it goes. Moon Meat, brother Luke Kang, what's going on?
Just too sharp with the prize, right girls? Tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution.
Environmental Coffee House, good morning to you. William Moore, good morning.
Stop that.
Ill Hustler, what's going on? Royal Lee, Richland Inn, good morning, y'all. Ferry, good morning.
Stop that.
Blue Daddy, good morning to you. Brenda Johnson, good morning, Brenda.
Yeah, I heard chat to the noise. And stop for the talking. I heard chat with the boys.
Mark from Australia, good morning.
Shot with the prize. Tell me
good morning, Mama and Daddy. Good morning, y'all.
Touch my please use caution.
That was actually a pretty hot ass jam. I kind of like that one a little bit. So yeah, well, y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Season 2 is coming up soon. Next week maybe, we'll see, who knows. But anyway, y'all, we got to make sure that y'all stay tuned. You get more comments, more content, more music, more everything. Season 2 is incoming. You don't want to miss it. Make sure that you join the Patreon as well too. Patreon.com/like it or not, or Patreon.com/the BPD show. Let's get back into some more music. Here we go. What's going on, sister? Marsha Reese, good morning. That's right, y'all. Make sure you get your nap in tonight. The patron party is going down. Make sure you have space in the place. You don't want to miss it. And if you're not a patron yet, now's the best time to do it. You get access to the patron party tonight. Go ahead, sign up. What you waiting for? DP, good morning. Dr. S, good morning.
But I was unaware. Walk around like everything belongs to you. Talk to me like I'm the young stupid fool. Take off all your clothes. You're nothing more than silverware. Why you calling me honey? Why you show off your money? Wave it like it's a tissue. Baby, this is your issue. I'm not falling for bullshit. If you like me, then say it. You don't get that I see through this facade that surrounds you.
How much you need?
Growing up takes time. So don't you waste mine. You and me ain't right.
Okay, that's cool. We can do that.
You're nothing more than silverware. Thinking you're so bold.
I appreciate that.
Walk around like everything belongs to you. Talk to me like I'm a young stupid fool. Take off all your clothes. You're nothing more than silverware. I'm over you, so done with you. I'm over you, so done.
Just another sunny day in Southern California. It's where the people came to play. Don't let them transform you. Oh, come and see what you've been missing.
Real quick, y'all. Did y'all hear about the time a truck full of Vicks Vapor Rub overturned on the highway? It cleared up congestion for 12 hours. Shout out to Six Dragon Daddy for sharing that one the other day.
It's been turning kind of gray in Southern California, but I'm allergic to the rain. What happened to euphoria? Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Y'all are terrible people, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. We got more coming up.
It's all or nothing. Ooh, it's all or nothing. Ignore the signs and socialize. Come and see what you've been missing on a little slice of heaven. It's the only place for living. It's that easy ready for summer. You got every attitude. Who cares?
Boy, you had me from the start. By the way you stared, the way you wrote upon me, yeah. Man, I felt your energy. Wasn't used to being loved and treated differently, yeah. But something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're on completely different pages. Let's go where we were, when no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow.
Oh my God,
this
isn't working well.
We should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Boy, you take me on a trip. Always up and down and back and forth in merry-go-round. I just wanna get it right. But when you go left, I'm stuck here feeling left behind. Cause something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're going different directions.
Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, that was a good ass juxtaposition, wasn't it? Now. Oh, like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, y'all stick around. Oh, Rebecca Azor is coming out. You know she got a story for us. Oh, Benjamin is coming through. Slow roll, I'm drinking my coffee. All through and through. Oh, I am your Chuck Diesel say this is Stevie song. Like it or not. Y'all, Dwayne is in the background singing, y'all. I was like it. Here we go, y'all. It's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, y'all.
Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to record songs
and not care who doesn't like it. Now, I just want to get the disclaimer. That's the last time you're going to hear this song because I said I played it like 3 times this week. So I'm just like, y'all won't get this song again. Oh, God. See, and that's what I was going to say. If Dwayne got it in, Dwayne got it in saying so he can play it from now on, but I won't be playing it anymore. That was my limited run.
Go to patreon.com/like it or not to get the exclusive, the MP3 version of it. Download it.
Right.
Like it or not, brought to you by none other than DJ Exclusive on the ones and twos. Man, you had some harmonies. I heard a little bit of harmony in there, man. Yeah.
Told y'all, when y'all leave me to my own devices, this is what happens.
Well, you inspired me, James. I think I'm going to do my own version of it. Something.
Oh, God.
But I'm not going to sing. I'll get some other, because I mean, I sing about as good as Kirk Franklin, so I'm not a singer. But I put a little group together and get some harmonies going. Like it, we could do it. Yeah. We're gonna make a gospel song out of Like It or Not.
Oh God!
And then put a trap beat underneath it. I digress. It is Friday, September 24th, 2021. Thank you so much for joining us. We have range, and by range, I mean that any moment we could be talking about something as serious as international affairs, or we can be trying to harmonize. You sound like a quartet group. That's what you sound like. You sound like the male chorus at the church when they get around the microphone. Like it or not. Shout out to all the male choruses around the shout out to Deacon Dre. I know who y'all are. Let's go. Let's get into something before our brother. We're going to be joined at 9:25 by brother Andrew, known as Drew Comments, on Twitter and on Instagram and on TikTok and everywhere. He's the brother who has these viral videos breaking down what's in the vaccine. And breaking down the illogic, James, of all of the people who are, I mean, really, matter of fact, before he even gets here, can we go back to the one where he breaks down like all that stuff y'all put in y'all bodies at these parties and you want to be worried about what's in the vaccine, right? James, I remember one of the first parties at Bethune-Cookman that I ever attended. I should not have started that sentence.
Oh, God.
Whatever was in that punch was more deadly for me than what was in the vaccine. Clearly.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you, I made a couple of those punches and just let you know it had some very highly flammable stuff in there that probably was pretty bad for you. Just considering it now, my liver probably looks like a swollen up black stale piece of meat because of that punch. But hey, I digress, and we worried about what's in that vaccine. All right, y'all.
Because if you ever drank I'm not affiliated with any organization, but if you ever drank the Omega Punch, whatever the Q Punch they call, if you ever drank that and you have not taken the vaccine, man, shut the hell up. What's wrong with you, man?
Yeah.
This is what the video. I think I filibustered enough, Dwayne. Run the clip. Let's run it.
I asked the doctors on stage what are the long-term effects of the vaccine, and not one of them could give me an answer. Never thought I'd see the day when the YOLO generation would care so much about long-term effects, but yo, no cap, I'ma keep it a bean. I ain't gonna hold no arms. Vaccines in general don't have delayed long-term effects. These ain't no different. 1 or 2 shots that induce a natural immune response ain't gonna come back to bite you years down the line. Any adverse effects that could happen will take place in the first 8 weeks, and even those are extremely rare. But you know those commercials where they be like, if you took this medication, then you may be entitled to compensation. Yeah, but those be for drugs that people use for extended periods of time. Not a vaccine that ain't do nothing but warn your immune system of a threat. Like if you drank 4 Locos at a party in 2010, you didn't start randomly throwing up 5 years later. Probably had a good time at that party though. First of all, mRNA and long term shouldn't even be in the same sentence. Because mRNA is extremely fragile. Matter of fact, it's the only thing in this world more fragile than the male ego. Ain't no woman disagree with that. That's why Moderna stored at -4 degrees Fahrenheit and Pfizer stored at -94 degrees Fahrenheit in order to slow down the degradation process. Your body's sitting at about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, which means getting one of these vaccines is like putting an ice cube on a Foreman grill or a grown man trying to use his wife's shower water. The mRNA is broke down after about 24 hours. Spike protein is gone after about 72 hours. Here for a good time, not a long time, baby. And during that good time, the mRNA has no way to escape the cell cytoplasm to the cell nucleus. So no, it cannot alter your DNA. It's too busy having its polyadenine tail shortened by exonucleases and the deadenylation-dependent mRNA decay pathway. The nonsense-mediated decay pathway, and some other mechanisms I can't even pronounce yet. mRNA gonna stick around shorter than the dude who asked a woman what she bring to the table. Back in 2011, human trials took place on the mRNA platform in cancer patients. Them same folk doing just fine, many of them raising kids and paying child support. CDC has also recommended pregnant women get vaccinated so they can pass the antibodies on to their babies, like preschool for the immune system. What do they think of next? So that's 30 years of research, 10 years of human data, best researchers from the whole world. I'm way more concerned about the long-term effects of COVID and them milk crates than I am about these vaccines. Man, go get y'all shot, man.
On the screen with us now is first time on the show, but nonetheless the brother from another mother, brother Andrew, known as Drew Comments. Hey man, the crate challenge piece almost took me out. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right, man. How y'all feeling, brother?
We doing good, man. Listen, let's start here, man. What made you? What compelled you to step out here? Because I know by now you've taken on the anti-vax community, so I know you know how wild it is out here in these streets. So what possessed you to put yourself out there like that?
I mean, honestly, it was just the amount of misinformation. I got a bad habit of not keeping my mouth shut. You know what I'm saying? Like if I see cap, enough of it, I got to say something to a certain extent. And so, essentially, what I saw was a lot of the same misinformation tactics and techniques that we saw during the election cycles and such. And so when it came to these vaccines, and I was like, wait a minute, like, and just even though I don't have a background necessarily in medicine, I could hear certain things and be like, no, wait, that don't sound right. Hold on.
Right.
And so, I was just like, nah, I want to be able to have substantive conversations about this. I got a mother and father in their mid 60s. You know what I'm saying? I got a dad with some, some pre-existing conditions. I have, other family members. I got close friends, former teammates from my time at A&T. And so it was like, man, if I want to just have these conversations, I want to be informed enough to be able to go ahead and get some input into it. And so I made sure that I did my research. When I say did my research, I actually spoke directly to the immunologist, the virologist, and such, the epidemiologist. Nice. And so I had to do that. So yeah, but I couldn't. I can't let misinformation be running around here unchecked, bro. I got to be like, nah, bro, you're cap. So yeah.
Speaking, James, I want you to get in there. But speaking of research, we've reached out to Kizzmekia Corbett, one of the lead researchers on the vaccine, like helped create the vaccine, and it's very possible we'll be able to get her in this conversation. So, and I wanted to bring that up in context of people saying research, man. The research is in. Go get the vaccine, James.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We appreciate you for everything that you've done. I've seen a few of your videos, bro, and you own it. And I greatly appreciate that, man. We talk about vaccine misinformation and just vaccine hesitancy a lot, especially dealing with Nicki Minaj and what she went through over the past couple of weeks and Trinidadian swollen testicles and everything. So it's good somebody went out there and shared that information and spit facts. That's the main thing. And you did your research, and a lot of people don't do that.
No, you got to, bro. You got to, man. Nowadays, misinformation, disinformation, big business now, man. You can go get a bag. Oh, yeah. Just talking crazy. Like, you see Candace Owens. Like, I'm saying, right. And so, it's wild. And so, it's so many folk like her and in that lane who could just say whatever they want. They make stuff off the top of their head. They go with a narrative and push it, even though it's not based in reality. And you can get a bag off it. So, I'm like, well, shoot, if they can create a lane for that, there's a lane for people who come out here and just tell the truth. I ain't got to say no. All I got to do is, have a nice little, brush my teeth, have a nice smile, go to the barbershop, you know what I'm saying? And come on here and present the fact. Maybe throw in a joke or two, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, James, you saw I did a switcheroo. I said, put that man in the middle of the screen, man, so everybody could get a good look at the tape line. Like, we got somebody on the show with a tape line for a change. Put that man in the middle. Listen, we're going to put you to the test, man. Listen. It sounded like you were freestyling when you started going through all of those ingredients. Can you? And again, like, I know you want to make sure everybody's clear. You're not a doctor, right? But
That's right.
you're somebody who took up the challenge, and they said, do the research. So you said, okay, I'll do the research. What's in the vaccine?
Oh, well, there's a couple. So when we say the vaccine, let's make sure we're particular, specific here. There's more than one vaccine going out there. You mentioned Dr. Kizmikia Corbett. She's the head researcher for the Moderna vaccine, which I took because I feel like in a time of crisis, 100-year pandemic, or the first time we have one in 100 years, I'm going to trust Black women. So I was like, we going with that Moderna. You know what I'm talking about? But you also got, you have the Johnson & Johnson, which is a completely different platform altogether. It doesn't go on mRNA like Moderna and Pfizer. It's on something called a viral vector vaccine. So it comes from a little bit of a different delivery mechanism. But let's talk about Moderna, for instance. So first thing we got is messenger ribonucleic acid. All right, that's the first thing. That's what's going to have the information in it to give your body the information on the spike proteins that your body is going to create. Also, just to keep in mind that the spike protein that your body creates is not identical to the spike protein. It's actually on SARS-CoV-2. They're a little adjustment with 2 amino acids. It's a 2 proline amino acid adjustments so that spike protein is locked in place. The next thing that you're going to have in there is there's a bunch of lipids in there. There's one lipid in there. When I say lipids, I'm talking about fats. That's it. So we're talking about SM102. SM102 is basically just a protective lipid. The reason they do these, and there's also, I can go through this, polyethylene glycol 2000 dimethylglycerol. And everybody likes that one a lot. People hear that. When people hear me say that and they get nervous, but it's like polyethylene glycol is in a whole bunch of stuff, bro. I'm talking about ice cream. It's in cosmetics. It's in laxatives. So there is a drawback in the mRNA platforms because Pfizer uses polyethylene glycol as well. There is a small part of the population, I do want to put this out there, that is allergic to polyethylene glycol. And for that reason, if they speak to their doctor, it's very, very possible that their doctor may say, you know what, just stay away from those mRNA-based vaccines. Go ahead and go with the viral vector like Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson doesn't have polyethylene glycol. It don't need it. There's no mRNA to protect. So that's something that they put out there. The next thing is cholesterol. We all know about that. It ain't gonna hurt.
Hey, wait, man! I feel attacked. What do you mean? We all know about it? No, go ahead, man.
I feel attacked, brother. I had 5 guys. What you talking about? Look, you should see what I be eat, right? Look, hey.
Hey, man, that sausage my wife cooked this morning was off the chain, bro. Anyway, let's not expose that because that's a whole nother conversation. We'll talk about Black men's health the next time we get you back. I'm going to pretend as though I knew everything that you talked about in the last, 30, 40 seconds, 60 seconds that you've been going down. I have no idea, right? But what I do know is that I trust the trial process, that the human trial process, and I also trust the fact that billions of doses have been put into the bodies of people across this world. I also have the fact that my family, and I appreciate you showing concern for those who may have an allergic reaction to that specific ingredient, because that may be some research people did not know. So if people don't understand all of the details of what's in it, how can you help them be confident that they should take it, for one? And then two, how are these people asking about what's in it? And they probably can't pronounce 50 dozen parts of what you just said.
No, you're right. No, that's right, because people need the content because you get scared. I'll tell you, it's 1, 2-desterol, S-N-glycerol, 3-phosphocholine in there, trimethamine hydrochloride, acetic acid, sodium acetate trihydrate, and sucrose. You're going to be like, nah, bro, I don't know that.
James. Hakuna Matata. Shit about a
only thing I know is sucrose. Okay, sugar.
Ratatang, bang, bang. Man, you could be rapping
okay, sugar, cool. All right, cool. Okay, cool. I got that. Cool, perfect.
I was trying to tell people that. Matter of fact, there's a whole bunch. I was trying to tell you, that's a good point, bitch. Because I was sounding like this. I was like, yo, if you can rap some of these verses, I'm telling you, you can probably learn how to pronounce some of these words. If you listen to Kendrick, you can rap the Kendrick verse. You can do that. Like,
that's real.
Baby verse is next. Like, Lil Baby been going off lately. I'm like, yo, if you can do a Lil Baby verse, you can learn this stuff. I'm just going to keep a being with you. Westside Gun got an album that just dropped. I'm like, dog, I'm going to listen to that when I get off of this. If you remember that, I'm telling you, you can probably learn that. But my thing is this. You got to put it in simple terms. The technical terms is cool, and everybody like, yo, that's dope. But, like, just make people understand, like, yo, this stuff, every day you come to this all the time. And it's just about understanding that these ingredients themselves aren't anything that you haven't encountered, but also just looking at the things that you eat on a regular basis. Your cheeseburger has more dangerous ingredients in it than vaccines do. Like, if we're gonna be honest, I mean,
Real.
So I gotta connect with you on a human level. That's all it is. So I mean, that's really what the goal is. That's how you make people feel better about it. I mean, better about it. Just saying, look, this, and here's the numbers and all that.
The cheeseburger I had yesterday was most certainly worse.
Bruh, like you said that, because I had a soul had a double quarter yesterday from McDonald's.
Man, I had
and we were what's in the vaccine, putting it in our body.
I'm not even gonna say because my trainer is listening. He gonna whip my excuse me, sweetie, in the middle of the show. 1 second. Let's run a clip, brother Drew. I need your input on this clip from Senator Roger Marshall, Republican from Kansas, who's a doctor, but he himself spews some misinformation, and he poses the question: what are the benefits of this vaccine to an 18-year-old? Very minimal. Was this his conclusion? What are the risks? This is a sitting senator who said that the risks are more severe than the benefits for an 18-year-old. Clearly misinformation. Dwayne, run that clip.
So as a physician, I always want to step through and weigh the benefits of the risk. So what are the benefits of this vaccine to an 18-year-old? Very minimal. What are the risks? They're significant. And I respect these younger people not getting the vaccine. You and I, we need the vaccine. Our parents need the vaccine. They need the booster shot. But do young 18-year-old men and women need this vaccine that are otherwise healthy? I think there's plenty of room for argument on that.
Brother Drew, please.
Nah, man, what are you talking about? Like, first off, no, the benefits greatly outweigh the risk for an 18-year-old. I mean, if you even look at it, when you look at what this virus actually does, obviously it's a respiratory virus. It gets into your lungs. So you can be as healthy as you want to be. Workout, I'm talking about 18 years old where you're basically immortal. This virus will get inside of your body and literally do damage to your lungs, your kidneys, your heart. As a matter of fact, you should look up the rates of myocarditis and pericarditis. What I mean by that is the inflammation of the heart and also the inflammation of the sac around the heart as well. We talking about healthy 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. I'm talking about varsity basketball players, all that, who, when they get that inflammation because of the virus, that is severe enough to where the heart stops. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've listened to mothers talking about, my son, his heart stopped, and they had to get it started again. And so when I'm listening to parents talking about that, and I'm listening to cardiologists talking about that, nah, bro. And I mean, we talking about lung transplants for kids in that age range and stuff. Wow. And so, this virus doesn't really care. I mean, you might not die, but there's also something called long COVID, which occurs with about 10 to 30% of people who get this, where even after the infection is gone, you are still dealing with these situations. And so now people who used to run a mile or 5 miles every morning can't even make it up a flight of stairs. So no, bro, no. The benefits outweigh the risk. Excuse me.
You know, James, what's wild to me, man, is that this is coming from a sitting senator, right? The level of misinformation is at a level of absurdity. This is coming from our temples. This is coming from Washington, D.C. Let me get off my thing, man. It's like, I'm just, how do they get away with this level of lies that's getting folks killed? Either one of y'all, I'm at a loss here.
It's because it's a money grab. They go on these right-wing shows like this, Relief Factor, spew this information because somebody won't take the vaccine, so then they have to go to the hospital and use up the ventilators, use up the ivermectin, the hydrochloroquine, whatever it is, use up the bleach, the Lysol, and everything else so they can make money. It's all a money grab. Rand Paul.
Brother Drew.
Rand Paul.
And look, nobody should be listening to Rand Paul for medical advice. Do the eye doctor, number one, and he even had to make up his own board to even get certified in that, from what I understand. So it's like I'm not listening to an optometrist when it comes to issues of my lungs and my heart and other parts of my body. Let me scare some people real quick. What's been linked to SARS-CoV-2 infections and black men? We need to listen to this real quick. We've actually been able to find a link between onset erectile dysfunction and SARS-CoV-2 because of what happens. So basically, real quick, the spike protein on the virus will actually bind with the ACE2 receptors on your cells, but a lot of your tissues actually have that ACE2 receptor. And so when it gets through, and I mean, it includes even your blood vessels, that inflammation and even inflammation in parts of the testicles as well, we're seeing it, man, where now certain instrument ain't working no more because you weren't prepared for this daggone virus. And so I just want to hear about, do you really want to risk it? Forget your liver, your lungs, your heart. Do you want to risk that, my brother? Just think about that. I don't know.
It's like instant castration if you want to. That's what you're doing. If you,
Bro, no, I'm just thinking,
please.
Like, listen, how do you explain that? How do you like, baby, I got long COVID. Baby. How do you, when you could have had a long vaccine, you could have got the vaccine and avoided that. The propaganda doesn't stop in Washington, D.C. It obviously takes the form of media personalities. And here is Megyn Kelly, formerly of Fox News and NBC, who got about $32 million from NBC, by the way, but I digress. Here's Megyn Kelly going on a rant about school mask mandates. It's not enough for us to not get the vaccine. They also don't want us to wear masks, or our children to wear masks in school. Run the clip.
The hand of big government is across my 8-year-old's face all day, while AOC can go to the Met Gala without hers on. These Hollywood celebrities can go to their Emmy Awards without theirs on. Oh, but vaccination. Okay, all the kids, K through 12, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, California, vaccinated or not, they have to sit there all day with those things, those muzzles across their face. I've had it with the masks.
Brother Drew.
You know, it's crazy. It takes an incredible amount of privilege in the midst of a pandemic to be like, yeah, I don't want to protect myself in any way, shape, or form. The mask is, so first of all, ain't nobody that fine to where they can't wear a mask. I don't care. Like, let's just keep it real. Your face.
That's real.
Bro. I think I look all right, but
I like the mask. I like the mask. The mask got sometimes improvements, but go ahead, brother.
Listen, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it now. Hey,
I was talking about me. I was talking about me. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, I think you're talking about people in general. My fault. But nah, look. My thing is, I'm like, man, look, you don't know. Hey, just keep the mask on. The mystery, it helped. But no, but for real, no. I think that yeah, I mean, first off, you're protecting yourself. It's not the government trying to, they're making me wear a mask. Like this, even if you look at like Hong Kong and China and such, those populations have been wearing masks. You see them in the airport all the time. You see them traveling because they understand that those things work. They protect against poisonous gases and things of that in the air, and it protects your lungs. So this idea that, masks are put into, that's weird. That's like saying, yo, this seatbelt in my car is meant to take away my rights. I can't believe it. Look, if I want to fly through the windshield on a head-on collision, I have my God-given right to do that. Okay, I would like to roll down the highway 87 times after I've been hit going 70 miles an hour. Let me fly through my windshield, all right? If God wanted me to have a seatbelt, I'd have been born with a seatbelt. What's wrong with this government? Weird, bro. Weird.
It's weird as hell.
Go ahead, Jay.
And look, I was about to say, man, I hate wearing that mask. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I can't stand it. But goddamn it, if it's gonna keep me alive, that mask is gonna stay on my face because I value my life more than anything. So that mask is staying on. I hate it because it pulls my little beard hairs out. Okay,
man,
it's part of it. But goddamn it, when I tell you I'm gonna leave that mask on, this beard just had to look gappy until this thing is over with. I don't give a damn.
Nah, but they got I can't remember the company. I'll send you the link, but they got a black owned company that make like the silk mask that like you wear at night.
Oh, like my wife wear.
Yeah, you wear one of those. It's like a bonnet for your face, and you put a regular mask on top of it.
Because I've been researching it the way.
I personally think a lot of us don't like masks because we finally get to smell our own breath, right? I think some people come to grips with the fact that your own breath stink. Brother Drew.
That's accountability. That is, man. Hey,
exactly.
Stay ass breath out here trying to spray those COVID droplets. These folks nasty, man. Like, listen, we should be wearing masks in the first place. I feel some kind of way about breathing in the particles and the droplets of somebody on any given day of the week, let alone the pandemic. Brother Drew, can you at least help black folks and all folks understand like who the mask protects and why we should wear masks especially when somebody as privileged as Megyn Kelly, who got $32 million to be an incompetent white woman on NBC.
No, that's facts. I mean, let's keep it all the way with being right. So first off, the mask don't protect other folk, right? So you don't know whether or not you are infected or not. Just because we just don't have that. You don't always know. This virus can be asymptomatic. Even if you are vaccinated, this is the other thing people need to understand, that you have a whole lot of protection with you to the fact that it's possible that you even could be infected with COVID, but you don't know it because you got a little bit of the sniffles, you know what I'm saying? Whereas if you were, and it is possible, even if you are vaccinated, to be infected and to even spread it. I want to make it very clear, though, it is less probable. It is unlikely that you can do all of those things, but it is, you know, in the realm of possibility. And so you're protecting other people. Number one, you're also protecting yourself as well. And so when you got that mask on, those water droplets and everything, it impedes the process of those things being directly impacted or introduced to your nose, into the mouth, mainly the nose. I be seeing folks, so they be having their mask like low, like how you sagging your mask, bro? Like we sagging pants, I get it, but you can't sag your mask, bro. Like, come on. Like, my guy, come on, my boy. What you doing?
Like your nose is uncovered, bro. You still getting everything.
And it's not respectability politics. I'm literally, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, it's ain't respectability politics. I'm really saying this to say your life. Pull your mask up. Let's just pants sag. That's cool. Pull your mask up.
Wait. Young blood. Now you just said a couple things that have shown me that you are there's a lot that you got a deep well that you're bringing from intellectually. You got a few minutes to hang out with us?
Yes, sir. Indeed.
Okay. Yeah, I want to because you know, you said respectability politics. You notice the propaganda is analogous to that of the election. Seems like you're well versed on these issues. I want to get your input on a couple of other stories when we come back after this break. DJ exclusive, whatever it is that you want to light it up with, it is your world. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, there's a lot of folks who they running their mouth about Haiti. And I'm telling you, it's a little triggering, especially when that cowboy had a nerve to put a whip to our black people. We're going to talk about that when we come back right after this.
Oh yeah, whoa, look, they can never keep me down, I'm going, and if I ever fail, just know I'll go again. I never quit, cause I know that every loss may lead to another win. I'm going up. I bet when I land, they gon' tell me it's luck again. See that I'm winning, it's harder to watch. I'm setting the stage, you should give me my props. You ain't got no soul, you lacking the spirit. You talk out your neck, I'ma show you
make sure y'all stay tuned. We got more coming up to like and the not y'all. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Shout out to Rebecca Zora in the chat right now, y'all. What's going on, Rebecca?
Please don't play no games with me. It was never about the fame to me. They needed the best, so they came to me. Whoa, who the best in this thing? Tell them, yeah, that's me. Tell them, who bring the fire? Say, yeah, that's me. Who make it flip, make it bang? Ooh, yeah, that's me. Who make the party feel alive? Tell them, yeah, that's me. My girl's so proud of your boy when they ask, is that your man? Yeah, that's me. And if I'm taking a shot, I don't miss. Who knew I would be at the top like this? And no one made my goals for me. But I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. Cause it's the path that God chose for me. So even if some doors close for me, I still won't let y'all close to me. So please step back where you're supposed to be. Put the game all on hold for me. To sit back, watch me roast to be. It's in my genes, I'm better than I'm in. I know my flow too sick, I got the medicine. I'm way at the top, who could take my place? I went too hard, can't feel my face. Who the best in this thing? Tell them, yeah, that's me. Tell them, who bring the fire? Say, yeah, that's me. Who make it flip, make it bang? Ooh, yeah, that's me. Who make the party feel alive? Tell them, yeah, that's me. Whoa. Yeah, ooh, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's who that chillin' at the top. Tell them, yeah, that's me. Yeah. Tell them, yeah, that's me. Yeah, I'm chillin' at the top. Ooh, yeah, that's me.
100 years ago, everyone owned a horse, and only the rich had cars. Now everyone has cars, and only the rich have horses. The stables have turned.
I don't care. Bitch, I make my...
Dwayne, I can't stand you, man. I know you did.
I gotta love.
Man, y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Y'all know it's Friday and I ain't got no damn sense, man. Shout out to everybody that is in the chat room today, wherever you're streaming from. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you at, y'all. Good morning to you. Make sure y'all stay tuned. We got more coming up next. Infinite content talking about cut my mic. No, I won't be silenced. Mama, I love you too. Mama talking about you make me sick, Bubba. I love you too, Mama. Real quick, let me read off some of our patrons from yesterday. Our new patrons from yesterday, y'all. Make sure if you have not joined patreon.com/likeItOrNot, patreon.com/likeItOrNot, or patreon.com/the BPD Show, y'all. Shout out to Elias O, Memo P, Monica W. We have Jack of Hearts gifted 1 community subscription, and Amy K. Blue resubscribed with Prime, y'all. Thank y'all so much again. We greatly appreciate y'all. And if you have not already, like I said, patreon.com/likeItOrNot or patreon.com/the BPD Show. Tonight, it goes down 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It goes down tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Patron party, and your boy is about to bring it. So you don't want to miss it, y'all. Make sure you have your face in the place tonight. Go ahead and join Patreon right now if you have not, and you can get access tonight. All right, y'all? Cool. We'll see y'all tonight. Let's get it. Let's go. Everybody. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the screen, my brother from another mother, Benjamin Dixon, and our guest, Drew Cummins, y'all. Let's get it. Let's go.
James, when I walked away, I was throwing it back. I came back and I felt like, I'm doing the hot potato with Paw Paw, man. What's the name of that cut we just got done listening to?
I Got Love by Ed Mills.
Nah, I dig it. We're back Friday, September 24th. It is about 9:45, and we're here joined by Brother Drew Cummins. Brilliant young brother. Listen, before we go and talk about Haiti, we're going to keep the stream live. We're going to stay live across all the platforms. Normally, we shut it off at 10 and go to the after party. But we're going to give the folks some of the after party live because we want them to hear more from you. Who your people, man? Where you from? What's your story?
So absolutely. So I'm born in West Philly, raised in South Jersey. My parents, my mother is from North Carolina, a little small town in 252 known as Palmer Lee, about 30 minutes outside of Greenville. My dad is West Philadelphia, born and raised. Matter of fact, same high school as Will Smith. He's a little older than Will Smith, obviously, but Overbrook High School alum. Matter of fact, had we stayed in Philly, I probably would have gone to Overbrook as well. But grew up in South Jersey, just known for a whole lot of athletes, that sort of thing. And then decided to go to North Carolina A&T State University because I wanted to go to a black school.
James.
Now,
I thought I heard him say that earlier today, and we let.
I was going to bring it up. I was going to bring it up.
I mean, wait! I don't want to disrespect your. What was your mascot? The A&T.
It's the Aggies, man. Come on,
the Aggies. I know. No, listen, no disrespect. I thought I had Aggies in my mind, but I don't ever want to disrespect the ACC like that,
brother.
But shout out to A&T. We played y'all back in
A&T.
Back in the year of our Lord, it was 1999, somewhere around there. Bethune-Cookman University at the time, college. Me and James, we marched. You were there, James. We marched at. We went to A&T and shut.
Man, what are you talking about, Ben?
In Yao Stadium. We shut it down in Yao Stadium
several times. I forgot Ben left, so he missed it. But I was there like 6-7 years, so we destroyed it a lot of times. So
wait a minute.
I've always loved A&T though. They country ass. I love A&T. Look, so much to the point I did an internship. Man, I did an internship at A&T, and when I tell you, it was probably like the best dang on 3-4 months that I've ever had. Man, it was really live. And yes, they homecoming greatest G-Ho, greatest homecoming on earth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. we got to acknowledge that. No, the thing is, yeah. I mean, the interesting part about it is the majority of my family, at least my mom's side, went to North Carolina Central. So there is an interest. I'm one of the few. Matter of fact, and it's Aggie Eagle weekend this weekend. So it's a nice little family feud going on right now. But I was one of the few descendants who went to A&T. But no, so that's really what it is. Journalism, mass communication is what I was interested in, so I decided to study, as well as African American history as well. And then after college, I graduated in 2009. So at that point, y'all remember the economy was like, we were just hemorrhaging jobs. The economy was tanking and that sort of thing. And it was hard to find any work. I was like, man, I got to find something. And so, went on back to and moved back in with my parents and found a job in banking, just, a little call center or whatever, just to get something, a little money in my pocket. And, and decided to do that. But I think the thing about it was the social media thing. You know what I'm saying? Like YouTube popped up around that time, a little bit early in the 2000s or whatnot. And I had a girl at the time, and she made me start my YouTube channel. She was in there. She was talking about natural hair, and she was transitioning. You know, black, they got the braid outs and these products, and this is what I use and all that. So I'm learning what she going on. I was like, "You got 1,000 subscribers?" She was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You should start." She made me sit down in my own apartment and create my own stuff and my own YouTube channel. So yeah. And then I decided to start talking about, over really in 2009 for real. I was like, I'm starting talking about normal conversations I have my homeboys. So what it is.
That's dope.
I want to do a round robin just because I'm. You know what? We probably should start giving disclaimers to our guests, David, so they know they're coming on air with somebody who would just go literally anywhere in the show, regardless of the notes. I'm just curious, brother. So you said your background was journalism as well as what was that?
So, African American studies as well.
Yeah, man. What do you think of the? What do you think of us as children of the diaspora, as compared to us as individuals, survivors of slavery?
I think, and I'm going to say this, but we'll go macro and we'll go micro. In a macro, I think black is black, first and foremost. I don't like to put that distinction between folk. At least two great, I understand the experiences are different. But I try not to judge folks, especially the children of the diaspora, based on, what stop they got off on the Middle Passage. You know what I'm saying? And so, my ancestors came across here. And we had a certain stop. Somebody else's ancestors had another stop there, maybe down in the Caribbean somewhere. But at the end of the day, the black experience does not have to be identical for it to be valid. And that, at the end of the day, we are very diverse in our experiences and diverse in the backgrounds where we come from. Now, more specifically, I definitely do acknowledge that there are certain things that I myself, as a descendant of, let me be very careful because there's a group that uses this, but I'll say this, a descendant of American chattel slavery, that, there's some things that affect me a little bit different than someone who may have been a descendant of slavery in the Caribbean or even someone who is, in Europe or something of that nature. But, and we can have those nuanced discussions and everything. But I do think that overall, that we see that once you get into this country, wherever you're coming from, that black is black. And we actually see that with the treatment of certain migrants and at the border right now from Haiti. Yeah. So that's my thought on it.
Put up on the B-roll, if not already, because I don't look at the screen, the treatment of our brothers at the border. Whew. And I'm not going to be dramatic because it's Friday and it's 5 o'clock somewhere, even though I don't drink alcohol because that's here to make us brutish beasts, but none any more brutish than this animal atop a horse. Now, if you had caught me in my podcast days, I wouldn't hesitate to call this man a pig, but I have evolved. Brother, can you help the survivors of slavery, the descendants of survivors of slavery? That's the distinction I make because I understand the problem, or at least the conundrum that you find yourself in trying to identify exactly who we are. So I just made up my own thing. Descendants of the survivors of slavery, because are we not that? Help us understand why we should be up in arms as much as ever for our Haitian brothers as we would George Floyd or anybody else who has suffered underneath this empire.
Oh, no, that's facts. That's facts. And I will say this, we need to be up in arms because what you are seeing now is just the disregard. And there's a term I was listening to Ta-Nehisi Coates, and he was talking about a teacher that he had back in Howard who had used the term black bodies. And what I mean by that is it's literally that presentation of blackness that's presented where it's dehumanized, devalued, and not seen to be anything that would even be worth a level of dignity. When you are on horseback, literally terrorizing and with whips and lassos and whatnot, that tells me a lot. That tells me a lot of what you think about the folks you're going after. I don't see that. And here's the thing. I'm very, very sensitive to other groups as well. And we see people coming from a lot of impoverished and very difficult situations from other nations. But and perhaps I need to see more video, but I don't remember seeing any images quite like this for any other groups who are coming across the border and that sort of thing. And so, our Border Patrol definitely there's a history there, and they definitely have even when you see this is something that it takes a certain kind of mindset to be able to do that. But I'm looking forward to seeing this get corrected, and these folks we'll get to the bottom of it and get these things. And some of these folks need to just get fired and thrown out in this Border Patrol, to be honest with you. But yeah, we need to be up in arms.
James.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. It's just, it sucks just looking at that and just knowing that a few of those people on the horse were black as well too. It's just like, I forgot the man's name from Django. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Samuel Jackson's kid. Steven. That mentality. But it's all in that training that they go through. They think that they can treat people any way they want to, and they think that nobody sees it. So I'm glad that the world sees it, and I know a lot of people are talking about it. Man, I've signed so many petitions over the past couple of days, but I just hope something comes from it, and that the administration, y'all know what administration I'm talking about, does something about it. Brother Pascal, good morning, sir.
Oh,
what's up, party people? What's up, Drew?
Brother Drew, I don't know. Do y'all know each other? This is Brother Pascal of The Pascal Show, which starts at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. Yes. And Brother Pascal, Brother Drew.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
We cool, man. What's going on?
Man, chilling, man. I've been listening to you guys kind of rap for a little bit. And, man, you've read some books, man. Drew, shout out to you, man. You're very intelligent, man. Real talk, with all due respect. Very well spoken, brother, man. I appreciate you coming on and speaking your mind on this show. Just real quick, when I see this kind of footage, I feel like, did we just jump into a time machine and go back 400 years? This is exactly, finally, they're showing warts and all how America really treats the Haitian people. All right. This is the kind of stuff that should not be happening on American soil. Yet we see what's going on with immigrants or people who are trying to migrate from Mexico as well. But now Haitians get involved, and they put them underneath a bridge, living in tents or whatever they can put together, whatever they can salvage so that they can survive under a damn bridge. I'm so sick and tired of, actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm so happy that we are actually seeing this in 4K right now, live in Technicolor, because this is exactly how America treats the Haitian people. I'm Haitian, by the way. I just, Drew, just so you know, some background story. This is the reason why I'm so heated. I mean, regardless, if this was treatment of any other race, any other nationality, I'd feel exactly the same way. But there is a history here with Haiti and America and the way that America treats Haiti. And it's right here. We see it right now. Horses. Real talk.
Horses.
Whips. Like, and the thing is people are sitting there, I've been seeing other commentators talk about it. They're like, this ain't whips. They ain't using whips. They're using something else. Man, it's the act of whipping.
The act of whipping.
It is the act of whipping. You can use anything and whip somebody with it. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, I'm Haitian.
If
with everything, okay.
This is what I love
Go
about
ahead.
blackness.
Sorry, Ben.
This is what I love about a blackness. But the whipping is the thing. And actually, I'm gonna leave it alone, man. But Brother Pascal, I was gonna go off on a tangent about if we whip their ass, they would understand the difference, right? That it doesn't matter what we whip your ass with. It is the action of whipping your ass if you ever treat another black person like that again. But I digress. Jen Psaki, the I'm out of my mind, y'all. I know. Jen Psaki, who is the spokesperson for Joe Biden, made the horses the thing. Okay, that's part of it, but let's look at this clip. Rebecca sent it. She's not here in person, but she's here in spirit. This is the clip she wanted us to make sure we play. Let's run it.
So what he has asked all of us to convey clearly to people who are understandably have questions, are passionate, are concerned, as we are about the images that we have seen, is one, we feel those images are horrible and horrific. There is an investigation the president certainly supports, overseen by the Department of Homeland Security, which he has conveyed will happen quickly. I can also convey to you that the secretary also conveyed to civil rights leaders earlier this morning that we would no longer be using horses in Del Rio. So that is something, a policy change that has been made in response. But separately, all related, it's also important for people to understand what our process and our immigration process is and what the steps are that are taken.
Listen, Pascal, I know you have to go, and Drew, I want you, as long as you can stay, please hang out with us, but let's go around the room as quickly as we can. Pascal, what are your thoughts?
The only thing I say is, all right, so that's going to solve everything. But no more horses, everybody. We're not going to be using horses anymore. Congratulations. What is that going to change? Does that take those people out from under a damn bridge and give them shelter, the shelter that they need right now? What are you going to do to change what's going on underneath that bridge in Del Rio? If you're just going to say, oh, we're just going to rip out the element of horses, then you got this whole thing all mixed up.
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
Brother Drew, your thoughts?
I thought so. First off, okay, that's a start to take their horses away. Like you said, okay, that's a good way to start. But at the same time, it's going to take more than that. I think this investigation is definitely needed because I want to know who gave these orders to say, yeah, we're going and use these whips. I want to know specifically what meeting did these people have? Who was conducting those meetings saying, when you go out there, do that, treat them in this type of thing. This is okay. Names, we need to know names, ranks, all that kind of thing. And the people responsible need to be held accountable for it. But furthermore, there also has to be a plan put in. I think that Secretary Mayorkas, he's going to have to go ahead and be the helm of that and be like, look, you got to get shelter for folk. Like I said, water. There's a thing going on right now in Texas where folk are cooking meals for those migrants, you know what I'm saying? Make sure they got something to eat at least, you know what I'm saying? And so, and folks, just regular big people like you and me cooking meals, trying to make sure those people are taken care of. So I think that, from a DHS standpoint, there has to be a serious handling of this and to make sure these folk have just basic human resources and needs. Just because you're coming across in a way doesn't mean that you aren't, deserving of dignity.
Listen, James, I want to get your thoughts on this, but Brother Pascal, I know you're going to get started any second now, so we want to give you a chance to exit stage left. Thank you so much for coming, brother.
Pascal,
thank you, man.
no, he can't go nowhere yet.
Oh, damn.
Oh, Lord. James, what are your thoughts?
Dwayne know what my thoughts are already, because Dwayne, I should tell you to play it, but we gonna wait, Dwayne. We gonna wait until that's all I hear. Anyway, Pascal, when two vegans get in an argument, is it still called beef?
James, man, if you don't play something and take us to the trap, let's go to the after party. Pascal, for those of you who are not patrons, go over to the Pascal Show. He's going live any second now. And then for those of you who are patrons, patreon.com/like it or not, come to the after party. Brother Drew, can you hang out at the after party a little more? It's a little more uncensored, et cetera, et cetera. We have
I stick around. Yeah.
All right. That's what we're gonna do. DJ exclusive. Give us some music that's better than them damn. And then somebody give me my tally.
Man, shut the hell up, Ben. You know you
I don't
like
know
these
how many
damn
times
jokes.
I cussed today. Run me my bill. James, take us to the after party. Go ahead.
Oh, Brother Pascal, have you heard the song?
Stop. I don't even know what song you're about to. If this is another joke, all I'm
No,
saying
it's
is
a literal ass song that I made.
You gotta play the song, brother.
Yeah,
What's the song?
Lord.
That can take us to
Play it.
Oh, come on now. Called Like It or
Hold
Not.
on, let me cue it up. Here we go. Yeah.
By DJ exclusive. Why did y'all do that? Why did y'all do that?
Y'all know what time. Get your coffee, your tea, your drink, whatever it is you need. It's time for Like It or Not, y'all. Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, it's starting now. Oh, like it or not, it's going
Lathering your body with peanut butter. You know what I'm saying?
Like it or not, y'all stick around. Oh, Rebecca's all is coming out. You know she got a story for us. Oh, Benjamin is coming through. That's my.
This is what happens when y'all leave me to my own devices. I keep saying that.
Oh, I am your DJ exclusive. Y'all know who I am. I stay in the chat room. Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, this is about to go down.
Then Rebecca got me talking about that laugh at the end. You know I ain't got no damn sense, man. Why do y'all continue to egg me on like this? Because when y'all egg me on like this, y'all start getting more stupid songs and more dad jokes. Y'all just know what's gonna happen, okay? Anyway, y'all, it's time to light it up, y'all. Make sure that y'all stay tuned. We are in the after party now. Missed it. Our body rolled all over the place. You missed it. Somalia, good morning. Good morning, Q. Love you. Patricia, good morning, Patricia. Goku, what's going on, brother?
I'm in line with the stars, I'm in sync with the earth. 10 toes deep, flower child from the turf. I never switch sides, like even when I die, I'ma ride for the squad. Lot of times in the hearse. I've been on a vibe, kinda hard to describe. I'm in between, I'm good and it's fine, but I'm tired of
we forgot to tell y'all.
In the night to realize I'm in the
after party is staying public today, y'all, so you can stay tuned right here. Y'all stay tuned right here, after party. Public today, y'all. Y'all stay tuned. Oh, Elizabeth Moms to say that she wants a rap version.
We all with the same.
You might see what we can come up with over the weekend.
Trail spill from my lips, feel big from the bit. Take a sip till I pass out. Try and get grip.
Appreciate
you. You can lose life on this fast route. Yeah. Turn thoughts to a cash cow. I might flip that to the glass house. I don't need the accolades. I'm in love with the chase. I just wanna eat, save a spot at the table. Beast with the slack and myself on the map. Long with the wind, but we knowing that it's cap. 5-hour flights. couple nights at the flat. To be real, couldn't see me making moves while I'm at. I'm still on the grind, living time when I chat. Burning down sage, keep the demons away. When I write to give a piece of myself to the page, I don't do it for the praise, love. That's just how I'm made.
From the glass in the mirror, do it at me, old man, trying to pass in the fear. You're the first one to talk, but the last one to hear. Eyes blurry, but I couldn't see that, and he cleared down. Start to feel like I'm on one. Settle in, I be here for the long run. I'm a slave for the cash, got snakes in the grass, no brakes on the ad, but it's all fun. We done seen it all, heard it all. Heard enough, give me space before I murder y'all. 10 bad here, I'ma curve them all. 12 missed calls, and I still made a curtain call. Here to light it up, lighten up. Hear him talking, they ain't right enough, tighten up. Everything that I came for, I left with. I don't bang sets, I just bang on the set list. Going past something when I came for the breakfast. Put me in your prayers, I might put you on the gas list. Young, tell me reckless. Gold in my soul, got the same on the necklace.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the screen. Benjamin Dixon and Drew Collins.
Welcome back.
See, Drew, we forgot to tell you that we a damn fool over here, so I forgot that we wrote a whole damn song. Well, I wrote a whole song the other night, and yeah. And Pascal, every time Pascal come on, I got to kill him with a dad joke before he get off the show. Every time. I waste his time.
Man, you had multiple verses on that song. I thought it was going to be like a couple lyrics, and that's it. This dude had a daggone bridge.
He had a bridge.
Went back to, oh, man. I said, hold on, bro.
Hey, and then Drew, then he went to the vamp. It wasn't enough to have a bridge. He went to the vamp. It's about to go.
Oh, this is a song. He would not count it. This dude was not playing with you.
I said, man. I was sitting here the other night. I was just like, man. And I'm downloading music, and I heard the beat. I'm like, I think I'm about to make a song. I just got up. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I just got up.
Hey, Drew, you rap?
I've been on around a little bit, do a little something. And, everybody go through that phase in college. You know what I'm saying? You sitting in the room with your boys. Y'all, somebody put a beat on, you start. We did a little something. Might write a little something. I got some rhymes around here. Probably my mama's house back in Jersey in the garage. No, but I have a younger brother. So here's that. No, full transparency. I do have a younger brother who also lives out here in LA. He's the actual artist in the family. His name is Josh Adams.
Whoa. You said lives out there in LA. You're in LA right now?
Yes, sir. I'm in Los Angeles, California. Yes, indeed.
Hey, nice. Man. Hey, man. Salute, brother. Thank you for getting up so early, man. Man. I don't even know if I do that for my own show.
Ben made people get up out they sleep and get on the show. He'll do that. I was like that night that I was the night I wrote the song, but I was supposed to be off the next day, but Ben made me come in on my day off, bruh. So I'm like, I'm on. Since you made me come in on my day off, I'm gonna play this song about 5 times all day. Sell it out.
And James, you see, I ain't say shit. Now listen, we in the after party. Welcome to the after party. If we're live on the public channels, Mama, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
We are live on the public channels, so all of you watching on the public channel, make sure you go over to the Like It or Not Patreon and support, because you are getting free content today. And also, Bubba, isn't there a patron party tonight?
That's right. Yes, patron party tonight. And if you go ahead and join patreon.com/Like It or Not, you can have access to the patron party and hear some, I ain't gonna say real music, but you can hear the Nicki Minaj's and Coldplay and those kind of things.
No. We are muting Nicki Minaj at least tonight, not permanently, because listen, what was the song with Trey Songz, the one that she was like, Trey,
bottoms up.
Oh, bottoms up, my God, today. So we will never cancel Nicki Minaj forever, but she canceled tonight, bro. Like,
I don't know about that, Ben. I can't. I'm sorry, dude. I can't. I mean, she has some, but I mean, let's be honest. I really don't play Nicki like that at any party anyway. So I'm just talking. I'm just trying to put her names.
But we do welcome, and we have an open arm, an open door policy for all Megan Thee Stallion tracks. So there you go. Bae, hey. You're not going yet?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You about
What's
to be
the
sleeping
clip
in the
we got?
garage.
Where's Step my married ass up. Listen, listen. Let's go to the first clip. Here's something that was fascinating, Drew. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that you could turn on a dime and have conversations that actually matter. Right? We do a lot of laughing here, but as you could tell, we cut to the essential question. That's what we're here for. I'm just curious because we have absolutely everything that we could do on our list. Hey, babe. We have everything on our list that we can do. But I think while we have you here, I'm more fascinated about the conversation that we could have just at the drop of a dime, somewhat because of shared experiences. You're a black man in America, right? You're a descendant of the survivors of slavery or whatever designation you give yourself. You're studied. I think that matters, but I don't think it matters as much because I've seen this same brilliance with dudes I talk to under the shade tree, you know? So what do you think it is about blackness that gives us this shared brilliance?
Boy, that's interesting. I think that shared brilliance, I think that we have enough in common to where we are able to draw not just a lot of the same conclusions, but also we're able to kind of analyze the world, or specifically, we just stick to the Americans for this part. We're able to analyze this country in a certain way that just inspires a level of camaraderie. And that's a historical thing. I mean, even if we go back to slavery, Jim Crow, there is an understanding of what it means to survive. There's an understanding of what it means to be targeted. And even in this survival, we're not talking about just getting by, but somehow our people have a way of thriving even in those situations. And I think that if you look into the actual granular level of it, get real, intricate nuance with it, obviously, there's going to be differences from, cats from New York as opposed to cats from Alabama. We understand that, cultural differences and all that. But at the same time, even some of those experiences are even shared nowadays because a lot of those things that there was something called the Great Migration where folk did go from the South up to the North and brought a lot of those traditions and stuff with them. And so even in those situations, while we can be very different, we are very much alike. So I think that that's what really contributes to it, I think, is just, and I think it might even be a little bit of the DNA part of it. So I can't really speak on that intricately because I'm not a geneticist, but what I can say, it's interesting how we can come from a people from the motherland, and no matter where you send us across the world, there is a vibrance, there is an enthusiasm on the ethos there that it's unique. And even in the differences in different places, like I said, a nuance level on a more broad level, I think it is something. So yeah, it's a lot to understand what it means to make it, and also to continue on despite harsh circumstances. That's what I would think.
James.
I yield the floor. My time. I was reading the chat, man. Y'all heard in the song, I stay in the chat room. Damn. Okay.
Hey, I was pulling up. I was going to say, watch this. I'm going to demonstrate that no matter where we come from, if you ask a black person about the complexities, it doesn't matter where they come. I don't care if they are studied or a DJ, trap, or the strip club, or the I don't know what. I don't know how to balance that equation. The point is, James, I thought you were about to drop some knowledge on the people, man. What they saying in the chat?
Nothing. Talking about the patron part of the night.
Hey, you mentioned something though. Wait. Hey, Ben just said something that I think we actually hit a good point. Because here's something I did want to bring up if y'all don't mind. But my thing is this. When I'm hearing people when they complain about the mask and stuff, I expect that of folk like, Megyn Kelly. I expect that of, certain senators and stuff, because they've grown up in a country and a world where everything has been catered to them. And so when you are now forced with any level of restriction, if I look at it from a psychological standpoint, maybe I can have, and this is don't take this out of context, but this is the word because I can't think of anything else. All I'll say is a level of understanding as to why you may feel aggrieved in some way. However, as Black people, specifically Black folk here in America, it's hard for me to feel restricted or oppressed by having to wear a mask. And the reason I say that is because as a black man in America, my whole life has been one that there has been a certain level of restriction that's been required in order for me to survive in so many different ways. And so we can go, even going to school where we couldn't wear our hair in certain ways. Like this literally written into the dress codes. You can't wear certain T-shirts. You can't, they tell you can't speak a certain way. Even when you get older, you have to conduct yourself a certain way in job interviews. You have to, or even in those corporate spaces and stuff where you're the only one that looks like you. Black women can't. They have to think twice about how they wear their hair when they go for certain business things that they're in corporate America. The natural thing. So restriction. Even in recreation. Nightclubs, we say no tall tees, no baggy pants, no jewelry, no hat, and it's all pointed to us. So my whole life, I've understood that there is such a thing as restriction. Even when I'm not even talking about necessarily oppressors that don't look like me, but there are certain things in my own community sometimes. I'm in LA right now, you know what I'm saying? There's certain neighborhoods I don't go into just out of respect with certain colors on. There's certain ways that, certain logos I'm not going to put on my hat. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there are certain factions there who may not take kindly to that. You know what I'm saying? I want to reduce the chance or the probability of me having an encounter that's not favorable to me. And so, and even though that's out of respect, you go in Chicago, certain places, they tell you, don't even wear your hat like to any particular side. Make sure that thing right on. You know what I'm saying? Because you may be communicating something. So I think for black people, because we have these considerations all the time, even when the police show up, the same thing. There's certain things that I restrict my movements. There's certain things that I don't do. So our whole ideology is, okay, restriction equals survival. My mother grew up in Jim Crow. Like, she understands what that means to do. And so, so when you tell me to wear a mask, that's probably the least oppressive thing you've ever asked me to do in this country. So I really have no issue, specifically in the midst of a pandemic. I don't feel restricted. I'm like, all right, that's cool.
Exactly.
It's our reasonable. A mask is our reasonable service for people who have had to survive white supremacy and capitalism. I mean, come on.
Thank you. That's the thing. Like, you say your freedoms and liberties. I'm like, what are y'all? I don't know about these freedoms and liberties you're talking about. I think that they sound good, but I never experienced that. So I don't feel like I'm losing anything because I never had it to begin with. You know what I'm saying? So that's just where I'm coming from. Yeah.
That's straight facts. That's straight facts. As long as we've been oppressed, you're right. It's like putting on the mask. Oh, okay, cool. I can do that. That's cool.
That's the nicest thing this country's ever done for me.
Right.
So I don't die.
Like,
that's what's
hey,
up.
listen.
Oh, cool.
Yo, and check this out. Listen, because we now herein lies the strange inflection point in world history where the survivors of slavery and anybody black, anybody who is a child of the diaspora who has access to the vaccine, we are actually rather privileged, right?
Facts.
Especially those
Big
of us
facts.
seated in empire. Not only do we not have to worry about drones flying over our head, we don't have to worry about not having access to the vaccine. African nations.
Hey, real quick, Dwayne, check Slack, Dwayne. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Bubby.
And I was going to pull on Dwayne too. Dwayne, the clip from yesterday, the World Health Organization, where the representative from African nations were pleading, saying, we don't need your charity. We want to buy the vaccine. And so here's this strange inflection point, Andrew, in world history where we who are survivors, we who bear the narrative of the oppressed, we are now privileged enough to be able to comfortably get the vaccine. And y'all going to let people like Robert F. Kennedy make y'all dumb enough. Excuse me. Sorry, folks. I don't want to shame, right? But folks, if they really wanted us to not have the vaccine, or rather, if they really wanted to kill us with the vaccine, don't you think they would have flooded Africa with it by now?
Right.
Andrew.
No, that's facts. That's big facts. Also, let's just take a look at the distribution, right? Even the access to the vaccine in black communities is not equal to what you're seeing in affluent white areas. And I think people are missing that point. We are having a more difficult time getting it. Now, if you're up north and more condensed areas, and that's different. But especially go down to the south, it is a little bit more of a challenge to get access to these particular vaccines. The other thing I want people to understand is that when you have affluent white people coming into our neighborhoods to take the vaccine doses that are supposed to be for the people in our neighborhoods, that's telling me a couple of things. Number one, the vaccines are safe and they're effective. And also, this is not a plot specifically to harm us. Because again, when the colonizers are coming in, gentrifiers are coming in to get the vaccines, then leaving and going back, some of them driving 3, 4, 5 hours. And I was speaking to a white woman a couple weeks ago. She was explaining that. But
here's the clip, black people. And shout out to our allies, right? Because obviously, we're not in this fight alone. Shout out to our audience. This is as good a time as any at ACT TV. Thank you so much for supporting and doing all that you do. But I need to talk to black folks, because if any community should have 100% vaccination rate, it should be the community that on the international stage, they're pleading for the vaccine. Let's listen to this clip from the World Health Organization.
As a VAT in the African Union, we want to buy vaccines. We're not asking for donations. We want access to purchase. We call on those countries that have put restrictions on export of vaccines as finished products, of ingredients. These restrictions are even more urgent for us today than intellectual property. An export ban lifted in the United States, in Japan, in China, in Korea. That will give us vaccines immediately.
As you know, WHO's global targets are to support every country to vaccinate at least 40% of its population by the end of this year. These 2 countries in Africa have reached the 40% target, the lowest of any region. That's not because African countries don't have the capacity or experience to roll out vaccines. More than 5.7 billion doses have been administered globally, but only 2% of those have been administered in Africa. The longer vaccine inequity persists, the more the virus will keep circulating and changing, and the higher the chances that more variants will emerge. It was to avoid this situation that WHO, Gavi, Sept, and UNICEF established COVAX last year. COVAX has faced several challenges, with manufacturers prioritizing bilateral deals and many high-income countries tying up the global supply.
Rebecca Azor. What's up with your light, sis? Now, listen, we talk about on our show all the time.
The light is here. Hey, good morning, Ben. We only got about 5 minutes. I just wanted to check in. Guys, just rolled, out of bed. Comment section knows that I'm not feeling too well, but I wanted to come in and say hello. And so here I am. Yes, be my background music, Bubba. Be my background music. So good morning. Welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. Hey, to our guest, absolutely. I didn't catch your name, but I absolutely love how articulate you are. And for each topic that was discussed today, you really, I appreciate it, especially when it came to the vaccine and how you broke it down. People thought that you were about to just come with a few words, but you came with many. You are a words guy like Ben, a wordsmith, just like Benjamin Dixon. And you gave full dictionary, full encyclopedia. And we appreciate you for that. And then when you discussed Haiti and the truth, between people who Black descendants of slaves and from these different areas, and the understanding of the Black descendants of slaves here in the Caribbean and who come from the Caribbean and those here. So and then you said you got to make sure you were careful with the wording, because there's a group that is called ADOS.
Wait. I like careful. Okay, I'm about to say I like to choose my fights when I like to choose them.
No, we're not fighting. No hotaps. Okay. No hotaps. No ADOS. Black to me, I'm rooting for everybody Black unless they're against the cause. But I just stopped in and I just came in to just say hello. And what is your name again? And where can they find you? What do you do? I didn't get any of that.
She been out
I'm
Drew. Man, my camera died.
My name is Drew Comments. So nice to meet you. Absolutely. And I'm on anywhere on social media, pretty much TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, first name Drew, last name Comments, Comments.
So
yes, indeed.
And did you learn did you learn all of that intelligence from that university that you went to, that HBCU?
Jesus, now we got 3.
Oh, here we go.
I just really want to know: is that where you learned it from? Because
I went to on the hat, right, Drew?
So I just wanted to know.
You went to the HU?
The HBCU, I would, and that's the. When I say the, that means the number one historical Black college and university.
That
in the
still
nation,
remains to be seen.
Of Seven Hill in Tallahassee, Florida. For those of you who don't know, it's Florida A&M University, AMU.
So,
Dwayne, go ahead and take off camera.
They come in that. Now let me ask you.
Orange and green. It's the Rattlers. It's everybody goes. Everybody says they go there, but they really don't because they probably went to BCC now. BCU. I don't know, but. Nice to know there's somebody else on screen who went to another
went
school.
to Tallahassee Community College. Don't you come for us? Don't you do it today? We got company.
At least we have an associated community college up the street. I don't know what you guys have over there in Daytona. But so you went to what school?
Wait. Let that man reply, Brother Drew.
So I'm from North Carolina A&T State University. But wait a minute. So that means that she said, did you learn it from that school? So did you learn your information from matter of fact, when the last time you been to the moon?
Oh, the last time, the moon, you talking about the club, right? Yeah, the moon. So he's saying the moon, guys. The moon is a club in Tallahassee.
The moon older than Jehoshaphat, man. Everybody went to the moon.
It is. The moon, I don't even know what it looks like today, but the last time I've been to the moon was on my graduation day when we were, and that was in 2011 when I graduated from undergrad. That was a good time. Actually, that was in 2017, actually, when I went back.
Bang.
I did. I was at the moon.
So nobody that's been to the moon in the last 6 years is gonna shade me about mine. Y'all get it in. Legendary happenings in that venue. But yes, indeed.
Legendary.
From North Carolina A&T. Yeah. Look. So we went down. We played FAMU for their homecoming. This was 2008, I think. And we went down there. No, y'all beat us actually that game. That was the game when the fans started throwing stuff at us from the stands, and we had to go back in the locker room because our coaches started fighting with the band.
That sounds about right.
That's right.
Because the halftime was so long, we came back out, we on the sideline stressing, and then the band was just marching toward our sideline, disrespecting. So my D coordinator started pushing somebody. So then the family people started pushing back. It was crazy. Then the next thing I know, I'm sitting there looking like, yo, what's happening? And a water bottle bounces off of my visor. Like, I have my helmet on. I'm like, so I look at the stands and I'm seeing people like this.
Whoa. What you play?
Yeah.
What you play?
I play strong safety.
Okay. Well, you said visor. I thought you were in the. Okay, now I now put it all together. Y'all.
Yeah, I was wearing visor.
Rebecca, we were in the what our first guest, my brother Anthony Galloway, calls the gut bucket of philosophical existentialism. He just pulled us right into the as important HBCU wars. Because as best as I could tell, North Carolina A&T has thrashed FAMU as much as Bethune-Cookman has.
Yeah, sure, Ben. Well, okay. I don't really know, but I
now wait. I digress. Wait, Ben. There has been a few times that A&T has come and whipped our ass. The main time being at our homecoming this time, Bill. You may have been gone, but A&T came through. They won. Next thing you know, one of the football players from A&T's team went and grabbed their flag and marched his ass to the 50-yard line and planted the flag. Next thing you know, I see a high school bass drum go flying across one way, somebody other instrument go flying across the other. We in the stands looking like
James, you're supposed to cover for your boy. Don't expose my
man. Damn, that ain't no covering shit. That shit was.
So what you guys are saying? So what you guys are saying is that HBCUs, in all of their rivalry, they will get physical, but still love on each other. Is that what you're saying? Like they can still
absolutely.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What we're saying is, watch this. What we're saying is, it don't matter where what HBCU you attended, you can't mess with our family.
So Ben, I'm sorry, there's some pushback here. So it does matter which HBCU that you did attend. It does matter which HBCU you did attend. And, but it's like, we're still going to show love because we share the same last name, or you're a second cousin or whatever. So we're always going to stick up for you. There is nobody that comes from FSU. And FSU, I did co-op there for dance. So there is nobody that comes from that school that can speak to me about the dealings of anybody from an HBCU. There is nobody from a community college, no offense, because they're practicing to choose to go to the HBCUs. But, there's nobody that comes from the community college that can tell me about the dealings of HBCUs. We got our drama, people. We know what it's like to stand in line to try to get your money for your class. We know what it's like to get into the CAF. We know what it's like. We know what it's like to not have the money for your books. We know what it's like.
All of that.
Raise your hand if you've had a fight with the financial aid department at HBCU.
Listen, and then have to be like, can I still go into my classes, ma'am, sir? And they'll be like, you can sit here, but you need to pay for them. Now, I know what happens over at the other schools. If you ain't got the money, they won't let you sit in the class. That's just how it goes. Now, at the HBCUs, they're going to be like, you need to go to financial aid, but you can come on to class, but you need to go financial aid and figure this out. They give you an opportunity to still be there and, give you a chance and things like that. Run around, yes, might be a run around for 2-3 months before you get that check, but you've still been in class. The HBCUs how we say from the Bragg Stadium at Florida A&M, we just brag different. HBCUs can brag different.
Who would ascend to the top of the mountain? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, always because that's what I was. Because that's what I was saying, Rebecca. What I was saying is
I said it matters what HBCU. I corrected you on that. It matters what HBCU you do go to. Okay, because Florida A&M is the top tier. Everything else, I don't know.
Everything.
If you wanted to,
after that betrayed you. Listen,
top tier.
Listen,
top tier.
Man, don't stud that sister, because everything she said after that betrayed what she said. Because at the end of the day, as I was saying, Sister Azor, because everything you said is true. It doesn't matter what HBCU you go to. Ain't nobody on the outside gonna come in and attack us. We could talk about ourselves, but you're not going to attack us. And please, we're out of time, but I want to just close out here. Rebecca, you jumped in, and I thank you for joining the conversation. Patron party tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Rebecca Zor will be there.
I won't be there, unfortunately, because, I work 6 jobs. I have 2 events that I'm covering for Haiti this evening in Atlanta. So I have 2 covering events that I have to cover that deal with Haiti. I'm going to be the representation, and I'm going to be speaking
I want you to just zoom in and let us participate with y'all.
Zoom got for the phone.
Yeah. Y'all could see me there. And then I'll also at the same event will be performing with the Haitian band that I do sing with. So it'll be I could actually probably show you a little clip or 2. But so I'm going to be doing that. So y'all know, I'll be on the side working 6 jobs. And then, after this, I got to be in the corporate world. So it's going to be a very, very long day for me. Hopefully I make it through if my uterus doesn't beat me up. So hopefully.
Blessings.
All right. You family now, Drew.
No, she brought you.
You're family now.
Drew,
you're family now. So
you are officially in hell. Everybody is hell. All of Act TV. Everybody's watching live right now. Welcome to the family. Patreon.com/like it or not. Tonight is our patron party, and Rebecca Muhammad from England is going to miss you. Brenda from England. I like to brag on our international community because I think it's pretty dope that we get to talk about all of this with folks from Australia, people from Japan, Tokyo. They join us, so they can join us tonight. And I think a lot of people would be ecstatic if they get a chance to spend some time with Rebecca Azor.
I know. If you haven't known, I am that girl on this show. Too bad you guys missed me with all the good stuff that you guys were talking about. But
I got a headache, Rebecca. I need to go. I got a headache. I got to go.
I hope that you do come back. because I actually loved how you articulated yourself. I think it's a great conversation. And Pascal, I think it would have been great for me to join in on that conversation. But, next time, and Dwayne, you said I came in with the bust your windows out your car energy. That's the energy that I'm on every single day. Shouts out to Mara Sharice in the chat who said she's going to be in
the waiting room.
Anyway, shouts out to Mara Sharice who said that she's going to be in the streets today because she said she's the cuffing season. Girl, go get yours tonight. I love you guys. I'm out. I love you guys. Mean it. That's all I got.
It is certainly cuffing season, and I'm going to do my code switching and get some pumpkin spice latte with my wife and go sit outside in this cuffing season tonight. Brother Drew.
That is so Caucasian of you.
I told you. I know how to cost. Hey.
Don't sleep on the pumpkin spice.
Drew know about them pumpkin spice lattes out there in L.A.
They got it out here. I stay away from it. I'm like, look, man,
I just destroyed one headphone. Y'all got me laughing so hard. I just ripped up $100 headphone. Listen, Drew, I want you to get Code Switchers of the World Unite. Drew,
not them headphones. I'm Dwayne Bob.
No. How would Rebecca, I'm trying to run a professional operation here. Would you please allow me to allow our guests to get the last word before James takes us to the trap?
Hey, all right, last word real quick. Hey, folks, look, get the vaccines are safe. They're effective. Talk to your primary care physician if you have access to it. If you don't have access to it, just go ahead and look. The data's there. Go ahead and get vaccinated. Protect yourself, and let's make sure that we're doing the right things for ourselves and our families. That's all.
Yeah.
Aggie pride. There you go.
I felt it. I felt it
Dwayne, unmute my channel real quick, Dwayne. The other channel.
You unmuted.
Turn that up.
Oh my God, they're playing.
I hear a sound.
Yeah, they're playing. It's okay. You can play what you play. I mean, and Bubba was on he was marching with his little knees and stuff in his little band. Go ahead, play it.
I don't know why I don't want to be loud.
Shout out to them rattlers.
I don't know what the hell's going on. So
shout out to the marching.
Listen, I don't care what. Listen. I don't care what HBC you went to. Shout out to you. I don't care what part of the diaspora you're from. Y'all better not ever lay hands on black folks like that again. Y'all done lost y'all damn minds. James, we'll see everybody next week.
Bye, guys. Love you. Mean it.
All right, y'all. Make sure we will see y'all this evening. Yeah, shout out again to Drew, man. I don't know what's going on with my music channel right now. Shout out again to Drew for joining us this morning. We greatly appreciate you, sir. And shout out to Rebecca Azor for popping her sick ass in as well, too. We love y'all. We need it. We will see y'all tonight, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Do not be late. Be a little late, but not too late. Just be a little on time. We appreciate it, y'all. Anyway, y'all, we'll see y'all this evening. The party is going down. Going down. Patreon.com/patreon.com. Or patreon.com/thebp.
What's love got to do with it?
He comes around, man. We'll see y'all tonight. We'll see y'all Monday.
Yeah. Come a little bit closer. Yeah. To all my ladies who got a brother that doesn't treat them right, put your finger right in his face and tell that man bye-bye. I'm too fly. Bye-bye. You're a little bit selfish. You get mad every time you lose. You can't take me with you. I'm scared you're gonna blow your fuse.